all the changes are implemented in the mod. We're playing with a version of their finest bra, but I do think we have the new focus trees for Brazil and the other South American countries, I think, also have the new focus trees. So it will be interesting to see how that affects the meta here today.
Yeah, and these countries usually, like, if you have a creative player, they can usually find something new to do with them. So there should be plenty of opportunities now to see something different.
Yeah, and we might see a shift also to that theater of war, right? Because it's a bit forgotten sometimes in South America. And now when we've had like Arms Against Tyranny with Finland, the focus east, it will be interesting to see the equilibrium shifting westward again. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier. Like Finland will be interesting to see this game as well. We have a newer player on Finland and a really strong Soviet.
Yeah, we have like playing Finland for the first time against Jacob Soviet. It will be a challenge. But as we've seen before, we have had well-performing Finlands in the Winter Wars recently because the Arms Against Tyranny focus tree is like super powerful if you play it correctly. You get like a lot of buffs to your defense.
It is actually insane how many buffs Finland gets.
Yeah, especially like this the Sisu thing here where you get... yeah, you can see it yourself here. Division Defense and Core Territory 15, and then you get all the focuses and stuff as well. So it will be exciting still, I think.
Yeah.
And well, first thing happening in the game is of course the Italian-Ethiopian war.
Yep.
And who do we have on Italy?
We have Martin, who's playing Italy, and he's an incredibly experienced player. Has 8 stars. And is a really strong micro player.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he manages to break out of the Mediterranean. We have seen some Gibraltar captures the latest game, so that can really shift the balance because you get the navy out and you can start raiding here. And
the last couple of games, Italy really has played like a huge part. So some big shoes to fill here for Martin, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. And Haile Selassie of Ethiopia is first on the chopping block, and this is a war that they will win. They can't drag it out for too long, but you can get some general traits, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to drag it out for experience, if I remember the rules correctly.
Yeah, that's what I think as well, yeah. And on other Axis majors, we have in Germany...
We have Dan and Rosen, where Dan is what do we call it? In the central committee, so a leader for the Axis here. Only played Germany once before though.
Yeah, he is a very experienced player though, and he's also a very preparation-centered player. All of our guides, by the way, like and subscribe and so on YouTube, because we have guides there where Don and other people, but mostly Don, go through like this big Excel sheets with like how do you build your factories, what's the most effective way to prioritize industry and military. And I think that can really be a boon for Germany because you kind of control the pace of the war, so preparation can really help a lot.
Yeah, and he's a self-described land player, so to speak. I think he played like more Navy focus a couple of games ago. Not really his thing. He really gets into the nitty-gritty of how to make a land army work, and he's been active in the chat, making sure that the Axis follow his plan, so to speak.
Speaking of the chat, I will just get the chat up on our second computer, and you might introduce the British player meanwhile.
So on the UK we have Algot, who played Italy last time and did an excellent job of that. Also a member of the Central Committee, founding member of the community. He's a very strong player. He's very willing to take risks and go with the flow. Perhaps not as much of a prepper as some of the other older players, but always like has good intuition and is willing to attack when he sees the opportunity. And he's going to be facing off against Martin's Italy, basically. So that'll be very interesting to see, seeing as Algot is a very experienced Italy player. On Germany, we also have Rosen, which is also one of our stronger players. So lining up here, I think we actually have Germany being very experienced, UK being very experienced, and then we have the other major players in Europe going to be Soviet, basically, where we have Jacob, Jonte, and Gustav. So we have 3 players on the Soviet Union, where Jacob is also an incredible prepper, and he's played the Soviet Union a lot. Jonte, I don't think has played the Soviet as much. He is very familiar with the Eastern Front, though. He's been doing the Eastern Front both from the perspective of Germany and other Axis minors. So he's very familiar with that. Gustav has 1 star, but has played the Soviets before. So there should be a decent amount of experience there. And I think we should be seeing a real beatdown on the Eastern Front this time.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what these Soviet players do. I mean, we've had Don, who is now playing Germany, has Soviets as a very comfort country historically. Mostly infantry Soviets, though. But
yeah, and that is very different from how Jacob has played it the last time. He went into heavy tanks last time, and the Germans didn't even want to try to push that line. We'll see if he does the same thing here and just gets to actually try out the strategy.
Yeah, I think we have seen quite like last game we had a rather inactive Eastern Front, because you say as the Axis you win everywhere else and everything is going well, and you hit a little roadblock on the Eastern Front and you wait a while and you do some other stuff. But that can really spiral out of control, because the Soviet industry really kicks off, and the Allies also have the United States, which eventually will start steamrolling.
Yeah. It really is a game of timing. The Axis start off so incredibly strong, and they have to win before the giants that is the Allies take off. The Soviets will come into the war earlier, but they become unstoppable if you let them go, and it's the same thing with the USA. You just can't let them do whatever they want.
Yeah, indeed, and we are going to have a Menti vote here. Who do you think will win today, the Axis or the Allies? So you can just vote on the little thing that is popping up on the screen, and we will try to see how the audience ranks our teams. I have been told that I am not to call anything early, so I will not
okay, you're not
speculate.
Allowed to call. Oh, but are you allowed to speculate though? Who do you think will win? Not calling it. Which way are you leaning?
Well, I would say on paper, I think the Allies has a very strong lineup.
Yeah.
But as we said before, Don is a very good player for Germany, I think, but he hasn't played it for a long time. So I would say slightly Allied favored, but I mean it can go either way. And Don has probably prepared for his Germany run. I don't think he's going in blind here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I do like the Allied lineup, but I am also biased towards Soviet and Jacob's Soviets particularly. I really like that strategy. I really like that nation. But I think you're right. I could absolutely see a strong Germany game here that just bulldozes through, and the collision on the Eastern Front is going to be insane.
Especially if they can seize the initiative. If Germany and Italy coordinates really well, manages to win in North Africa and breaks out of the Mediterranean, they might have trouble in the UK, because we have seen some sea lion invasions in some of the later games. It has been quite more popular. I remember when I played, before I was on the caster bench, when I played every Grand Game, it was very, very rare to see a sea lion invasion.
Exactly.
But now we have seen tries for it almost every game. And that shifts the meta as well, because as the UK player, you take troops that could have been used elsewhere and you place them on your harbors because you are scared for a sea lion. But if no one does a sea lion, then the troops that would have been preparing for that might be in North Africa.
Exactly.
So
it has absolutely changed the meta, because we're the UK has to actually play defensively, or at least be aware of the possibility. And I think we've been blessed the last couple of games to have such an exciting early game.
Yeah, indeed. And we have a result on the poll here, so if we can get that up on the screen, and we'll see what you guys think of this matchup here. And we have a bit of delay on the screen here, but we see that Allies is favored.
All right.
And quite heavily so. But we have Night Round is saying in the chat that I'm going with Allies. I think every grand game I've seen fully Allies won. And they have been going quite strong. But we had a grand game where the Axis eked out a victory. I don't think the last one.
Yeah.
Or the one before that, but the one before that with the try again army and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And there was at least a time like a couple of years ago when Axis were on a real winning streak. There was a time when it was difficult for Allies to.
We have tried to balance that. I mean, we on the caster in the casters and the studio, we look over all of the statistics and all of the Excel sheets and stuff that Don makes. Or maybe it's Johannes, I don't know.
Probably both.
Yeah, but we have very intricate statistics. And when we casted our first game, me and Petter at Bergårdhof, I think it's last year.
Yeah.
And then we could see that the Axis had like a 60% win rate or so. So the balance have obviously worked out.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. We can see that the navies are starting to form up here. We have Great Britain patrolling the North Sea, and let's see what Italy is doing. I can tag into them.
Oh yeah, I think you need to do it for that. Yeah.
And they haven't really formed up the navies yet, but it will come in quite soon, I think. And Ethiopia. We haven't unpaused yet, but see the front lines here being dragged. It's just a straight march over the Ogaden and the south here.
Yeah.
And they will pretty much march into Addis Ababa.
Yeah. We always have a limited amount of Navy players, so it pretty much comes down to like these specific players can play UK, Italy, Japan, the US.
I mean,
because the Navy is such a different beast to tackle. Yeah,
the Navy is something that you really have to get into, and I think we have Johannes on the UK.
No, we have Algot on the UK.
Algot on the UK, yeah, but he's also a stronger Navy player. I mean, when you play like the UK and Italy, you need to be able to do the Navy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I have been watching some of the videos on Navy trying to prepare for this. Again, like Dan and Badger make good guides on YouTube, so check out Hygge on YouTube. You can see a lot of guides there, because Navy is absolutely not my forte.
Let's check out the player map mode here. We have, as you can see, we have players on almost every country. We are doing AI China in our games, and we have New Zealand, we have Australia, and it will be exciting all over the world here. We have a Pacific theater that will be very interesting, I think. Who do we have in the Pacific theater, by the way?
So on Japan we have Sean and Matthias I. And Sean's about to play his 5th game, giving him his first veterancy star. He does have experience with the Pacific, but Japan is not one of the simpler countries. So he has a big task ahead of him. But there's also not the same amount of pressure on Japan as, say, like there is on the Soviets. So there's some breathing room there.
Japan is also one of those. Since we have an AI China, it's really one of those countries where you can prepare, and the plans will generally work out as you have planned, right?
Yeah.
I think Napoleon said that once, that plans never survive contact with the enemy, but if the enemy is a computer, they usually survive contact with the enemy, right? So, but then it gets worse from there for Japan, because then you have to do the island hopping and plan the naval invasions, and you will do that in competition with an America that will only get stronger as the game progresses.
And you have to do that while you're fighting off Australia, Siam, New Zealand, and then eventually, of course, you have to take on British Raj. So yeah, not an easy country, Japan.
Well,
on the US, let's see here, we have Ivan and Sjökrona. Ivan is a 3-star general with growing responsibilities over the last few games. He has never played the US before though, but he has played Japan, and that's very good. Like those are the counterparts here. They Japan and US will face off a lot. Sjökrona has 3 stars. He's been playing for a while. He's just not in every game. But yeah, he's been playing for a while. So I don't think he has played the US before though. He usually plays like New Zealand, South Africa, these minors that still has like a fair bit of autonomy.
Yeah, so we have 2 newer US players. It will be interesting to see how they face off against Japan here. We can see they are finishing off the production on the already started cruisers here. And I think construction-wise they are going into infrastructure here in the beginning.
Yeah, the US is one of those countries that they really have a long way to go before they get into like the nitty-gritty of like creating an army, and they have incredible debuffs to building military in the beginning. So for this country, it can actually be good to build infrastructure so that you can build stuff faster later, because you will get rid of those debuffs eventually.
If you see here, we have the London Naval Treaty that decreases dockyard output by 25% and also heavily limits your navy. And this is the real kicker here, the Great Depression. Total blanket factory output minus 25%, minus 25% resource gain. I mean, when you have all of these debuffs, you really need to get rid of them before you can really do anything. And you see that they are starting to do that here with continuing the New Deal, and they are going to work down the focus tree here in order to get the economy started, so to speak.
Yeah. One thing we sometimes see with the US is that it's difficult for them to actually join the fight in Europe, because it's so easy to get caught up with everything that's happening in the Pacific with Japan, and you have to really push through that so that you can help the allies in Europe. So if it's going poorly for the allies in Europe, they really need the help of the US, and it can be difficult for a US player to get to the point where they can actually insert themselves into the Europe theater and help. So it'll be interesting to see how these new players handle it.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said during the analysis we had, I think that the Pacific theater can also be have more weight to it this game, because since we have a very experienced Soviet Union and we have a very experienced Germany, I don't believe that they will make many mistakes on the fronts that can decide the war. But if your faction wins in the Pacific, you get these buffs like 10% attack if you capture all the islands and stuff. And when you have such an experienced lineup on the Eastern Front, those buffs from the Pacific can really tip the balance either way. And I mean, once you break through, you are going to try to have some defense in depth as the Soviets, but generally, like, you get the breakthrough and then it just breaks down from there.
Really, like, it's possible to be pushed back. The Soviet does have these national focuses where when they push to Moscow, you get a whole bunch of troops, like a whole new army basically. So I'm expecting Germany to be able to push into the Soviet Union here a fair bit. But I am also expecting Jacob and company to hold Moscow. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah,
we'll see how it pans out. We see here building a naval base in Vladivostok.
Interesting.
That's I guess historically they had a naval base in Vladivostok, but that might speak to some sort of Pacific shenanigans.
Yeah, that is interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they're allowed to attack Japan or anything.
No, not until like very late in the game. There is some... after a certain year, the Soviets can attack the Japanese, and the Japanese can also attack the Soviets. If they win, I think it's like if you capitulate Raj or something, you can go in there.
Yeah, there's absolutely. I know if you capitulate Raj, you are allowed to invade the Soviet Union, like through. Is it through Iran or just straight up?
Yeah, I think it's through Iran, or you can go up here through Mongolia. Right here is a little river crossing. Yeah. Most of this is impassable terrain, so it is not a very nice place to roll tanks through. But
no, but it's also not a place that the Soviet wants to have any troops, because like you want all your troops on the Eastern Front. For any newer players who are wondering, if you're watching the stream and wondering what we're going on about, we're playing a historical playthrough. So you're not allowed to attack any country at any time. You have to follow certain historical events, and you have to follow like the national focuses in terms of war, so that we get a somewhat representative playthrough of how it actually went down in history. But like in terms of how well you do certain operations, the outcome of history will be greatly changed.
Speaking of historical events, we see that the Italians are finishing up the war here in Ethiopia. We have, I think this is Giovanni Messe, right? And we get some progress towards the infantry leader and so on, but nothing much. As Nitro asked in chat, they don't grind in Italy, and no, we don't. That's not allowed. So they have to finish up this war in a somewhat timely manner.
Yeah.
Then again, like some things might happen at some point, but Ethiopia is just straight front lines, and you just go and it falls.
Yeah, and we have that rule regarding most of the early wars. Like the Spanish Civil War is also the same. Like we have rules set up so that the Spanish Civil War can't take forever. It's going to end, just so that you can't grind experience forever up until the Second World War.
Yeah, we have. Speaking of Spain, this will be the next thing that happens in the game, the Spanish Civil War, and we have a rule that says that the Axis will win the Spanish Civil War. We have had cases where we have had a Republican victory, but it really switches up the meta of the game in a bad way, and also the Spanish player can't play anymore.
Yeah.
So now the Axis will win, but if the Axis wins in a settlement, like the Republicans de facto win or manages to hold out, then you have to give factories to the Soviets as a settlement, and that means that the Soviets can really get their industry going faster if they do well in the Spanish Civil War.
Because that is that's like the prime directive of the Soviets early on. They want everyone to trade with them, and they want to get as many factories as possible, just so they can snowball before the Eastern Front really activates.
And who do we have playing Spain?
Let's see here. Is it this Spanish Republic?
Yes.
It's Alexander B. Just got his first veterancy star and has mostly played the smaller nations in the past. He hasn't played Spain before, so this will be interesting. It's not one of the most complicated nations, but it's not the easiest either. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially very early. And there's a lot of different players all getting involved in your in your country immediately. So it can be very hectic very early on.
Yeah, and we've heard that he is going to do a volunteer build with tanks.
Interesting.
And that's interesting because as Spain you can go two routes. Like either you join the Axis and become an Axis nation, or you just send volunteers to the Axis. And if you send volunteers to the Axis, then Spain is safe from D-Day, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because if you join the Axis, then you need to garrison like Vigo, Oviedo, Bilbao, and all of this part of the coast. And then you have to be scared also, like if the Allies keep Gibraltar, they can invade like Valencia, Barcelona. You have a lot of front to defend. So it's quite enticing for a Spanish player to just go volunteer, so you don't risk being invaded, but you lose out on some industrial power that way as well.
Yeah. Do you think this is an indication that they're not expecting to go Sea Lion this game, because they're expecting not to have control of the waters outside of Europe?
Yeah, I don't know how they have reasoned to get to this decision, but we have seen a meta shift also, where most Spains, the later games, have gone volunteer only. So I'm guessing that it is the most effective way, but I mean on paper it's better to join the Axis, right? Because you can become somewhat of an industrial powerhouse later. It's a big country. You recover the manpower after the Civil War. And if the Civil War doesn't completely ruin your country, if you get like a... That's the thing as well, like if the Axis get a fast win in the Civil War, then you get so much more output. If you have a Civil War that drags on for very, very long and maybe ends in a settlement, that really cripples Spain for the entire game. Much as it did in history, to be honest. Because back then you had this very, very long Civil War with the different like Carlist uprisings and splits in the Republican side, and it ended up really destroying the country for the entire time of the war. So Spain didn't play a big part historically. But in our game, they joined the Axis at some point.
Yeah, and that's just like a way to make like the whole game more balanced. And yeah, like we'll see in the future if we add more minor nations. I know we played with Sweden before. It would be cool to see that again. But at the moment, I think Greece is the newest country we've added.
Yeah, that's right. And on Greece, I think we have Manchukuo, right? Yeah. And he's a strong player, has a good grasp of the game and the mod. He is getting his first veterancy star this game, but this does not mean that he's a new player, because he played a lot of games with other communities. Played Germany his last game, so this is definitely a change of pace, but Greece can really put up a big fight, and also now he has experience with Germany in the community. And if you look at Greece here, like these mountains and these small passes, if you let go of this down to Thessaloniki, it is a tough nut to crack to push through Greece.
And we've seen last couple of games that just like individual tiles just hold out for so long in Greece and really become an annoying thorn in the side. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a real dirty brawl down in Greece.
Yeah, and Mako also, he has a good understanding of like focus trees, and so I remember the Blitz game where he guided me to victory as Finland against the Soviets in the Winter War. It was like, oh, go this focus now, and you remember to take this before this year, and build 5 of those. And
if I remember correctly, like, he pointed out specific tiles and everything down to the point. You're supposed to stand here. You're supposed to use this tile and this tile, and
and it really worked out. And as you see in Finland as well, you have. It might seem like a very long front to defend here when you look at it, but the thing is there is almost no victory points up here.
Yeah, no one cares about that.
And you have the rivers here, and you have the lakes. You can't cross the lakes, so you can defend like along river lines here and forests. And then just between like these lakes, and you have the Mannerheim line. And when it really comes down to it, it's not that broad of a front to defend.
No.
And also, if the Finnish happens to win the Winter War, then you get like this much shorter front. So then you can have troops like right next to Leningrad on 2 tiles for the start of Operation Barbarossa. If you lose the Winter War and you lose Viipuri, then you get this entire line that you need to defend. So
much harder.
I mean, you really widen the front. And then the Soviets can take the initiative instead, because they can go for a early Finland cap in the continuation war, and so it can really affect things. Did we present Andreas? Yeah, we did, I think.
Well, no, I think we mentioned him briefly in the beginning, just because both you and I are excited about this front. But Andreas is a new player. This is his first time playing with us. He has a lot of time in the game, though, and his brother is a regular with us, Patrick, who is playing Bulgaria this game. But yeah, as we mentioned earlier, this is he's going up against a very strong Soviet, so I don't expect him to win this Winter War. But as you said, Finland has become a lot stronger, and we've seen some Finnish victories. So. Depending on how well this is prepped, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it works out. We saw Ethiopia capitulating now, so that war is over and done with, and world tension will start to go down again. I mean, as Italy, you have some buttons to click. Like, since you are in a war in the beginning, you can go war economy, right? Yeah. But now they can't, because they didn't go war economy during the war. Now the war is over and the world tension is too low. So I don't know if that's an oversight or if that's a priority they made, because they have the political power here. It costs 150,
And if they were still at war with Ethiopia, they could have clicked this button and gotten significantly higher output for some time. So they might have missed that. Should we move down to the Balkans here? We have some interesting players down here. The Kingdom of Hungary has been a high impact player historically in our games,
and a fan favorite to play, so to speak, because everyone loves just making tanks and rolling around and trying to create encirclements. This game we have Francis playing Hungary. He's 6 veterans star, so he's very experienced. And he's played Hungary before and had some of his best games as Hungary.
Yeah, I remember he won play of the game at our first casted event, right? When we did Berghof.
Yeah.
It was a very exciting game, and we had Berlin almost falling, and then we had a tank push from Magdeburg up to Lübeck. And
I remember that.
They encircled a lot of allies, and the Axis managed to win, but it was by a hair, so that was a very close game.
I remember that game. I think I played South Africa that game, and the reverse tank push was soul crushing.
And now we have an outbreak of the Spanish Civil War here. You see that the lines are starting to form here. These are just militia troops. Volunteers will be coming in from the German Reich, will arrive on the 21st of July. On the 21st of July we will also have volunteers from the Kingdom of Italy and also Japan at some point. The nationalists, they get like these militia divisions as well as like the Republicans do, but you also get this significantly better divisions. I mean, in the long run this is nothing to write home about, but at least it's a standard infantry division, 2 artillery, a little support company.
It actually has artillery, which when you're talking about these like really early templates, they do not always have artillery.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the militia divisions, like this, you can't do anything with this. You just fill out the lines with it more or less. And as also Napoleon said, God fights on the side with the most artillery, right?
Yeah. And he has a lot of banger quotes. So
looking at the Republicans, we do have volunteers coming in from the USSR, and they will arrive at the same date as the Axis ones. And they are going to land in some harbor over here, I think. Yeah. And the Axis ones will land over here. I wonder what volunteers they are sending. Now when we are paused, we can check it out. I'm just going to widen this so we can read the messages from the technician bench. There, and let's see. There, maybe. Yes, I still see the chat. Right, we will also be holding a lottery where you can win free DLC. If you join us at Patreon, patreon.com/Hygge Gaming, you can become a free Patreon or a paid Patreon. Of course, that's very appreciated, so we can do this even more. But it's enough to become a free Patreon, and you will take part in the lottery of a free DLC of your choosing. So join that and get your chance to win a free DLC and also support the channel.
There's really no reason not to.
Indeed. And there is also no reason not for the Axis to send volunteers to Spain. So let's check them out. Interesting segue.
Hey, it works.
I wonder where we have the volunteer divisions. Volunteer forces in transfer.
Okay, so we can actually see it right now.
No, we can't. Let's see if we can if we can see the template here. But no, we can't. So we will just look at them when they arrive on the 21st of July, which it is now. So they might.
I think they're discussing whether not everyone is ready at the moment. So we haven't unpaused yet.
At the outbreak of the wars, we usually pause in order for everyone to get like the front lines in preparation and so. Like we have the invasion or Danziger War, the invasion of Poland, and the outbreak of Operation Barbarossa is the ones we pause. Other than that, we do not pause because then you get
you get an unfair advantage if someone's trying to do something sneaky or like. A big part of the game is like working against being overwhelmed. So every pause is really a resource to make sure that everything's going as it should be. And if you pause too much, you're going to unfairly give advantages to like the large, complicated nations.
Yeah, which usually the allies, because when you get like this, I mean, at least in the early part of the game and even like mid to late game, the Axis really control the flow of the war. Those are the ones that are keeping the world tension in check. They decide who to attack and when, and that really affects stuff. Let's see here. Now things are starting to move. We see that the nationalists are cleaning up, like Bilbao and the northern part of Spain here. And the Franco troops are moving up from North Africa, and they are moving to I guess like this northeastern. They are going to try to cut off this. Probably, right?
They want to create pockets here, it seems. So they're not going straight for Madrid. Then we'll see. Where do we have the volunteers? Haven't arrived yet.
I don't see them actually. No.
We'll see here.
They should be arriving any minute. Let's check out the Germans here. Still,
did we have a date where they were gonna arrive?
Yeah, we said it. Volunteer forces in transfer. It's 5th of July.
Okay, so it's now.
Now they arrive. And now we can also...
there we see Germany, they sent mountaineers, alright.
Yeah, and I mean this is quite stacked.
Yeah. For this time period, this is like truly an elite template.
They're going motorized infantry here.
Yeah.
Also, like light infantry, motorized infantry, and pack artillery. I don't think we've seen that before in the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, and of course, Spain, a very mountainous area. Actually, I know, like if you're anything like me, you think of Spain and you think of the Canary Islands, basically. But the country itself is like actually very mountainous.
Yeah.
So mountaineers always good to send here.
Yeah, and also you get experience on them, so you can use them later. If you don't get the circle and die, which has happened.
Yeah, and it would truly be a catastrophe to lose all your like mountaineer divisions here, because you want them to gain all the experience. You want them to be elite forces moving forward, even though you might change their templates later on. And we have Rosen controlling these ones probably, and he is a very experienced player. So I wouldn't expect to see him lose them here.
Yeah, we see here they are starting to do a push towards Madrid. Really smart here, like in between the two rivers. You don't want to cross the river, you get penalties then. So they do mountaineer push all the divisions into a hill province, and they are probably going to go to Toledo and cross into Madrid here.
Yeah.
So smart push from them. Let's see if we have some volunteers on the Republican side arriving in Spain. Here we have the Soviet volunteers.
Also mountaineers, yeah.
5 of them, also mountaineers. They do not have the motorized infantry though, but they are stacked artillery-wise.
Yeah.
So the artillery here is stronger than the Germans.
Very true.
They do not have the motorized infantry, so they're not as fast.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we can also expect them not, or rather we expect them not to push as much as the German templates. So probably going to be so that if the Germans face up against the Soviets, like they shouldn't really be able to push through. It will depend on like flanking and supplies and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of supply, like much as in historical World War II, this is a game of supply. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Like if you manage to cut off like key railroads here, if the nationalists manage to take Tortosa, for example, it will be very hard to supply the different troops, because you have a big railroad going through here, and especially later on the Eastern Front, Barbarossa and so on, you will really see supplies starting to become a major deal in order to keep your troops on the front line performing effectively. We have French volunteers as well?
I think we should. We at least have the Japanese volunteers. We didn't see them.
Because France is usually a country that sends volunteers, but
not seeing them.
No French volunteers.
No.
Let's check out the Japanese ones then.
Oh yeah, we have to switch to Japan first.
Yes. Yeah, we just get informations that France has an army group called Spanish Volunteers France. So I guess
they're just not in Spain.
We will be seeing them at some point. We see a first little encirclement of Republican troops. It's just the militia ones though, but Madrid is falling. Now we have the French here as well, but let's check out the Japanese while we're here.
Yeah.
Where do we have them even?
We did see them arrive, so they're here somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely saw some Japanese volunteers here.
Oh wait, go further west. No, that was German.
Yeah, it's really hard to find the volunteers. There we have them. We have 3 Japanese volunteers. And they are infantry stacked, standard artillery, not pack, and
with some support companies as well. So it's not a terrible division, but it's not nearly as stacked as the German or Soviet ones.
Yeah, definitely not. Checking the French ones as well, we saw that they had arrived. I wonder where they are. There we have them. We have
more mountaineers, absolutely.
More mountaineers, and that's only mountaineers.
Okay.
So they are going full mountaineer here. No artillery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will absolutely be good enough to take on the standard Spanish templates that they start with, but they're not going to be able to take on any other volunteers.
Indeed not. And we have some questions in the chat here. What do the Allies get if they win the Spanish Civil War? And I think they get 10 factories. So if the Allies win the Spanish Civil War, or win, I mean they lose, but if the nationalists have to settle, then the Soviets get 10 factories, and that can really boost their economy. And I don't think, do we send air wings? We don't, right? Or we do? Because armor we don't send, but we have some
we have rules against armor.
100 French fighters here operating over northwest Iberia. Yellow air for the Allies now, green air. So the Allies seem to have the edge in the air over Spain.
Yeah.
But we do have some German volunteers here as well, an air wing over southern Iberia. But the air war is going in the Allies' favor so far, I would say. The Axis have not managed to dominate the skies.
Yeah, I feel like the last year we've really seen people kind of want to focus more on the land troops, because if they were to send a lot of air and really win the air battle decisively, they would just conquer Spain sooner, and that would mean less experience for their land troops. So it's not necessarily the best thing. You have to kind of pick and choose what you want to get out of the war.
Yeah, I mean the meta has shifted a bit, because before we had the rule that the Axis always wins the Spanish Civil War, then the Allies might want to go a bit harder. We see here incessant pinging here, because we have 2 French mountaineer divisions that are in dire straits outside of Madrid, and we saw Germany reacted very fast to that, and now we have 2 encircled French mountaineer divisions, even one more. I think that might be their entire... That's the entire stack of French volunteers being surrounded in Madrid.
Good.
So, I mean, this is not good news for France. They would have wanted to have those experienced mountaineers for other purposes, but now they are going to die here in Madrid. If the Soviets are not able to break them out, we see desperate attempts from the Soviets in order to break them out. We see green bubbles for the Soviets. They might be able to save their French comrades here.
That would be
I think they will be able to do it, actually.
France doesn't have a whole lot of time to prepare against the German
We
invasion.
see, though, the Germans with their very stacked volunteer divisions here are actually reinforcing the tile, and I don't think that the Soviets will be able to break through in time. No, it doesn't seem like it, right?
And exactly, and this is what the Soviets... we saw their templates more made for holding rather than pushing. Yeah,
we see here in the chat night round writing that RIP France volunteers, that's what they get for sending just mountaineers. And I do think if they had some artillery in those divisions, they might be able to co-push with. They are pinned now though, so
that is terrible. We our France player is Sticky, actually, which is one of our more experienced players. And I was really looking forward to seeing like what Sticky has to put up against Germany, because the last couple of games we've seen France really fall kind of fast.
Yeah.
I still expect Sticky to put up a good defense of France, but this is not helping him at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, he would have wanted this for the defense of France. Now, it will be a harder time, but, I mean, the Spanish Civil War is not the end-all, be-all of the war, but an early blow to the Allies here in Madrid, definitely. Looking at the rest of the front, it's rather stable here, but after Madrid is mopped up and these volunteers are dead, they will probably start to make inroads towards like Valencia and Tortosa in order to split up the Republic.
You usually want to cut off Barcelona, right, and just get that out of the way.
You see, the Soviets are still desperately trying to break through here, and I mean, there are green bubbles, but I do believe we have Bulgarian volunteers here as well. Let's check those out and see what they have put in.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, Bulgaria, we have Patrick playing.
4 Bulgarian volunteers, actually. That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Standard, very standard, but
with one engineer support company.
Yeah, this is basically the militia divisions, but they're getting some sorely needed experience at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does work for the holding the line. If you want to reinforce, you can.
Exactly, it's more meat to push through, really, and unless you have very good templates at pushing, even very. Oh wait, did they break through?
They actually manage. If the Soviets can reinforce this, they might be able to get those volunteers out, and I think they.
Wait, I see 2 French divisions. They had 6 before, am I correct?
No, I think they had like 5 or something.
Yeah, so they might have already. They had 4.
Oh, they had 4, yeah.
So have they lost 2 divisions already?
Let's check it out here. I do think they might. Yeah, they have lost 2 divisions, so that's very sad for Francis. But they did manage to save the 2 that were in Madrid.
They didn't. Okay.
All right, that's.
I
spoke too soon, and I think that's it.
But that's the problem with like you see here, like these low supplies that these troops have. Like it's difficult to just get them to move.
Yeah. We had a comment here that Scandi man try not to do snooze challenge impossible. And we do love our snooze here.
Well, that's such a heartbreak for France. He really wanted to get those to a port immediately just to get them home, but yeah.
Yeah, he actually. I mean, he would have. It was almost.
Yeah.
But that's rip those divisions, and also the thing is, you don't want to play too hard when you are doing the volunteers in the Republic of Spain, because you are allowed to surrender. If you still control a port, you can just surrender and you can escape with all of your divisions. But I mean, not now, obviously. But
no, exactly. But that's so there is a strategic way to conquer Spain where you make it more difficult for the Allies to retreat with their troops.
Yeah, and we saw here we have info here that it's Jacob controlling the Soviet volunteer forces. So that's actually an early blow to Jacob not being able to break out his French command. We are seeing Madrid is falling, and this will be over in a short manner. We see that the Japanese volunteers are moving down to cut the Republican front in half here, and looking good for the Axis so far. If we check the losses in the Spanish Civil War, we have 162k for the Republicans and 38 for the Nationalists, and that just went up a bit because
the encirclement actually closed. The last troops died, and we have no more French troops in Spain right now.
We do not, and that is it for the French volunteers, right? Or they are they're sending more. They're going back for round 2 volunteer forces from France arriving at the 18th of November.
I'm very curious at what divisions they're sending now, because they might send just any divisions, like some really crappy ones, just to get more army experience.
Yeah.
So because they might be lacking a few points to create a new template or something, And when you're France and you have to do all this stuff before the German invasion, every bit of army XP can really be important.
Yeah, indeed. And we do have, let's see, no, not Hungary, Bulgaria. And those divisions are closing up here around the leftovers east of Madrid. Also, the Italians. They also have volunteer forces that we should check out.
We haven't checked those. More mountaineers.
5 mountaineers. It's very mountaineer heavy. These are also very stacked. He doesn't do the motorized infantry, but leg infantry is just as good. It's just like the motorized is faster. Or I guess they have a little more breakthrough and stuff.
They should. But at this early stage, this is pretty packed. I think, unsurprisingly, Germany's had the most stacked division so far, but Italy's not far behind here.
Yeah, I mean, both Italy and Germany have really sent their best to the Spanish Civil War. And that is not so much the case for France, but Soviet had rather stacked divisions as well.
Yeah.
But let's see here, if they are going to try to get some more encirclements. I think Jacob is going to play it rather safe with the Soviets divisions here. He is trying an encirclement here. Let's tag over to the Soviets and see how he does.
That's really like the most you can hope for as the allies here. Like you want to create some good encirclements and like pick off some elite divisions from the Axis.
We see some pinning action going on here. We have all the Japanese volunteers and also a Bulgarian volunteer that was in a bit of dire straits here, deep into the front, but they have managed to stabilize it now, I would say. And
we have the French divisions here in Barcelona.
Yeah, the French are back. Let's see what he's sending this time then. He is sending
pretty much just
a regular infantry division, but this time he has artillery. So he should have had those in the starting ones.
We'll see if they can manage something here. Most probably just grinding out some experience.
Yeah, at this point, I would say that the Spanish Civil War is over. It's just a matter of how much experience you get. And we can check that out because the Germans have done very well in the Spanish Civil War here. So if we check out their volunteer divisions here, I wonder where they are now. There. We have Manstein is 14% infantry leader, 11% hill fighter, so nothing to write home about. They will get one more experience level probably on some of the mountaineers, but I mean that's a twin-edged sword because if the Civil War goes very well for you as the Axis, you finish it fast, you don't get that XP.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. You end up with different outcomes, which can make it more difficult to plan what you want to do. Yeah,
and we see here that the German troops are reaching Tortosa and the coast, which means that all of the Allied volunteers, both the French and the Soviets, are in this pocket up here in Barcelona. But that does not mean they are encircled because they have this port here, and they are probably just going to go home. Or maybe they are going to try a revenge encirclement of this little German division here that might have bitten off more than he can chew here.
Yeah.
Because he is deorganized in Tortosa, and we see the Soviet mountaineers are really wanting to make a push here in order to avenge the French and also even out the odds a bit for the coming wars.
Yeah, they're pushed back in the south though, just because there's nothing but the regular Spanish troops there. So I don't think they'll be managing any encirclement there.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when this pocket falls, then you lose that ability, right? Because it's only this front. So we probably will not see anything there. But he did a interesting try here. Oh, we see the Germans. This might be very interesting. The Germans are racing towards Barcelona, and these are just the French new divisions here.
Yeah.
So if they break through here and take the Barcelona harbor, then the Soviets will not be able to get out.
Yeah.
And that would be very bad for the Soviets because then they lose.
Yeah, exactly. So what you would want to do right now would be to cross the river and take on the French, and then try to bind the Soviet mountaineers in combat. But they managed to break the north tile first. Pushing the Soviets back closer to Barcelona. So I think they're going to be safe.
Yeah, they are just going to move. If I were Jacob now, I would just click here.
Yeah. There's nothing for it now. You just have to retreat to Barcelona.
Yeah, I see. There is a lot of pinging here. Like,
Yeah.
pin them. We're going to take the harbor here. And so far they have not clicked. I see the Soviets are even trying for a push here.
Really?
He is a brave player indeed, Jacob,
Yeah.
because he is going to try the counter encirclement one more time. And that is a gamble indeed, because if he succeeds, then, I mean, if you kill the 5 German mountaineer divisions, that would be huge for the Allies. But if the Soviets end up like over here, and the Germans take Barcelona, then you lose everything instead.
Exactly. And and you don't. The Soviets are a slow starter, so they want as many of these specialized troops as possible for when the Winter War eventually breaks out.
Yeah, like the Soviets are going to go into the Winter War quite soon after the invasion of Poland, and mountaineers can be really good in Finland. Like if you have this, if you get this up to high experience level and you have 5 of them, they can really make a massive difference. Against the untrained Finnish troops. But the Finns have a lot of buffs as well, so they are almost veterans to start with. Looking over the air situation again, you see it's red for the Allies now, so the Axis have taken the initiative in the air war, and this pocket is soon to be mopped up, and I think that we are going to see an escape of the Soviet volunteers here. At some point, but we'll see when that day comes. And we see the Germans are trying to push around here a bit, but now we're starting to see the Soviets are moving towards the harbor here. But we have 3 Soviets are trying for a push here on this little time. They really want to get something in return for the French divisions.
I mean, and if the Axis are not careful, it could happen. But it really shouldn't happen at this point.
But they are probably hoping that the Axis will lean back in their chairs a bit, like, okay, this war is finished, let's just try to grind something out. And then you get like the Soviets pushing a tile, and suddenly you lose something.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And it's super easy to do just because you have so much industry to take care of. Like, we're at the very start of the game. You have to make sure your build is going according to plan.
Tagging over to the Germans here, you can see that the Germans are pushing up to Girona here, but I mean Barcelona is the last tile, so that is probably going to be what happens here in the Spanish Civil War. Autobahn finished, so infrastructure for the Germans. And mopping up here in the south. If we look at what is going to be somewhat final casualty numbers here, we have almost 500,000 casualties for Republican Spain and 66k for the Nationalists. So a very
resounding victory for the Axis.
It's a good civil war for the Axis. The French, 2 French mountaineers dead, and a solid performance indeed. They would have wanted to get the other 2. That would have been nice for them, but still a big victory for the Axis here.
Yeah, they're definitely happy with this outcome, I'd say.
Yes, while the Spanish Civil War is mopping up, we can look a bit at... well, let's look over in the Pacific maybe. We will see Sino-Japanese war starting at some point. That is the next thing that's going to happen. And we see that the Japanese have planned a lot of naval invasions of Shanghai, Jiangsu, Suzhou, something. And they are going to try to grind out the naval planner trait. I would say that is indeed the meta. Because you really want to get the naval invasion planning, so you can naval invade very fast. Along with focuses and special forces trees now, you want to reduce the time from planning to attack when it comes to the naval invasion, because you get these warnings, right? Dangerous naval invasion. And if that takes too long, people prepare for it.
Yeah, and like island hopping is such a essential part of the Japanese strategy. You want to take all the islands. You want to get the bonuses. Naval. You can't do it without the naval invasions. So,
looking over here, Barcelona, we see the last of the Spanish dying. I Didn't look now, but I guess that the Soviets had already escaped home by that point because they are. I would assume that they just ran them home.
Yeah.
Yeah, here they are. Going back to the motherland. Volunteer forces that have been fighting in Spain has returned home. Oh, here they are, indeed. So, all of them still left for the Soviets. It is the French that bore the brunt of the casualties for the Allied volunteer forces in Spain.
And we'll see how France decides to try to push or not push, try to hold on from Germany here.
Yeah, they have a line here along the Belgium border and troops stationed at the Maginot Line as well.
Yeah.
Usually it plays out rather historically when we play. We have seen some examples where the Maginot Line has been broken and you have driven like Strasbourg and toward Paris, but usually you see the historical movement across the Benelux.
I think last game they abandoned the Maginot Line even.
Yeah, I mean sometimes you abandon the Maginot Line, and that's also a bit of a mind game, right?
Yeah.
Because if no one pushes the Maginot Line, those troops can be used elsewhere. But if someone wises up to you abandoning the Maginot Line, then they will just take it. So
we do see France like investing into fuel and what do you call it?
Dockyards.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. They are producing a lot of this.
Yeah.
Also, they are doing infrastructure in Equatorial Africa, Gabon, Senegal. So they are really building up what will later become known as Free France after the fall of the Third French Republic.
Exactly. It's not surprising to see them invest in Free France. It is. I don't know really how much more fuel they have to build. I haven't played France myself, so I'm uncertain. But they might be going more into Navy than we usually see.
We have a question in the chat. This is MP, right? And yes, indeed it is. This is a very grand multiplayer game. We have players on almost every country. We are doing a historical playthrough with some house rules. And we've been playing for some years now. We've had... we're going to have our third physical LAN, right? Or fourth physical LAN even.
Oh, it should be fourth, right?
Yeah, I got the date on Facebook events. So this autumn you can look forward to us gathering in 2 different houses on the Halland countryside, and then we will try to get a big sponsorship from Paradox again. Also, thank you to Paradox. We're having a raffle with free DLCs here, for example, where you can just join our Patreon and you will be eligible to win those once we draw the names out of the hat in the pauses to come. And a big shout out to Paradox, firstly for making this amazing game and also for supporting our community through and through throughout the years. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And also we said here, was said in the chat that French-Belgium line will get cracked in a week, bro. And
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, probably, right? What do you think?
A week. Yeah, we'll see. Like, I feel like he's actually not investing super heavy resources into holding it, and he's already lost some Mountaineers. I don't think it's in France's plans to try and hold on for an extravagant amount of time. So, a week or earlier.
Even like, it's a bit of... you can see the defeatism here, that everything that he's building in Gabon and Congo and Senegal.
Yeah.
So there is no like fort construction and stuff going on in France. Looking at, I thought we'd go over to the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't presented the Netherlands player, and they are going to play a key role in the defense of the Benelux here.
Let's see here. Who is playing Netherlands?
Let's see, in the list.
Yeah,
there.
Thomas is playing the Netherlands. First game for Thomas, if I'm correct.
Welcome to the community, Thomas.
Yeah. It's not, he's not going to hold off Germany either. So, we'll see. Netherlands, kind of fun. You have, you're kind of all over the place. You start in Europe, then you're in the Pacific. You also have some stuff in South America.
Yeah, indeed. Also, like, they have an interesting focus tree because once they capitulate, they are not a government in exile. As for example, Poland, once you lose, you don't have a country, right? You're in exile. and you just produce like in Great Britain, and you build up your exiled forces. But as Netherlands, you actually don't go into exile. You just move your capital over to the Dutch East Indies.
Exactly.
And you are playing on as the Netherlands in the Dutch East Indies. So this is your core territory, and this will be what you are playing with. So you're really transitioning from like a land-based hold against the Germans to like marines and small naval forces helping out with island hopping in the Pacific. So
you're probably going to be spending most of your time like trying to fortify those islands to make sure Japan doesn't like roll over.
Also, Thomas is from the Netherlands himself, so he might be having a home turf advantage here, know the different rivers and so on.
Nice.
And we have a comment from YouTube from Dr. Paul William. Hello, you two. Thanks for playing and explaining so much. And thanks so much for those nice words. And that's also a good thing that our restream works, because we are sending live on both YouTube and Twitch. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe and click the bell and stuff. We are putting out guides for Hearts of Iron, and we are doing a lot of stuff. We are doing some short videos now. And I've said once that I will do a cooking video where I cook apfelstrudel, but I haven't done that yet. But at some point I might.
That could be like a thing to do during the lawn, actually.
Yeah, that's true. The cooking studio.
Yeah,
we'll take that with us.
We do see Germany has started their production of their Panzer divisions.
Yeah, let's see what they are going to field here. We have. This is a lot. 13 Panzer divisions in production.
Yeah, and these are the famous assault guns. So these are going to these are built to tear through infantry, and they will probably be up against heavy tanks. They do have a different division here that does include tank destroyers. But they haven't started producing those yet.
They have this is also a bit of a mind game here as well. If the Soviets are going meat wall Soviets, where you just have stacked with a lot of infantry and defense in depth, then you want these assault gun panzer divisions that can just tear through the infantry, drive big wedges, make big encirclements, pretty much historical. But if the Soviets go like heavy tanks, for example, and focus on a key strong points along the front, with no defense in depth, then these panzer divisions are going to get torn to shreds by the Soviets.
They're not going to be able to stand up against the heavy tanks. So, and we do see right now the templates has medium tank destroyers. I haven't actually played the meta of tank destroyer versus heavy tanks for Soviets.
This is a stacked division, mechanized infantry, medium tank destroyer. So this is going to work. If the Soviets go tank.
Yeah, and if I'm correct here, like you want the medium tanks because you want them to have more speed than the heavy tanks. You want them to be able to run around and not only penetrate the heavy armor but to encircle it.
Yeah, and movement is really key on the Eastern Front. Like once the partition of Poland is done, you will get the Soviets gets like this, and it is pretty much a whole Germany and some more to get to Moscow. So even if you would want to go like heavy tanks to have that punching power, you really want the mobility as well, because it is a long way to drive. And you will get some help from the Finns as Germany, but we'll see how it goes. We have a question from Mike on YouTube. What sort of time do you expect the Danziger War lunch break? Maybe 1.5 hours or so. We do have a rule that is rather historical, that in the fall of 1939, then Germany will demand Danzig, and Poland will deny it, and the war will break out. We also want to remind you once again that we have the free DLC lottery. So if you become a Patreon, even if you become a free Patreon, your name will be put in a little hat, and we will pull a name, and you will get a free DLC of your choosing. Please support the channel that way. Speaking of Poland, do we have a player on Poland today? We do, right?
Yes. Let's see here. We have
Remmefors.
I think you are right. I think I saw him here before. Yeah. 3-star general. A strong player. He's a very active player as well, and he has played Poland once before. So yeah, we'll see. I think the last couple of Poland games we've had have been very quick. Now Poland doesn't have too much of a chance, so really it's a difference in like days, weeks at the most.
I mean, Poland is one of those countries that will fall, but you get a lot of power in exile.
Yeah,
as Poland.
Yeah, and we saw last game the Polish player did very well with air. They went full into planes, and they helped the Axis a lot with keeping a green air in the different theaters. Yeah, I mean
Poland does get a lot of air volunteers. Yeah. Also, somewhat historical, I think, that the Polish air volunteers really play a big role for the Allies. If you look at the Polish focus tree, you have a lot of air stuff here. You have medium bomber, heavy fighters, and you can really punch above your weight when it comes to the air, because smaller countries you can't really produce that much, but as Poland you get a lot of free air wings and so on, so you can get the ball rolling.
Nice.
Yes, let's see how the Sino-Japanese tensions are developing. I do imagine that we are going to see some sort of incident along the Marco Polo Bridge rather soon. We have the Empire of Japan is currently going for the liaison conference here, and that will be done in 7 days, and then it is just a 7-day focus in order to kick off the Marco Polo Bridge incident and start the Sino-Japanese war.
Yeah.
And we see that the Empire of Japan has prepared a lot of coordinated naval invasions. This is very much, I mean, it takes experienced players in order to like sync this up. You want the troops to land at the same time. Especially like if you manage to fuck it up somehow and like this lands first and you don't have a harbor, it can be really dangerous with naval invasions.
Because the enemy like every tile will reinforce the tiles next to it if it needs to. But if every tile is under attack, you can't reinforce, you can't help each other. So simultaneous attack really is the name of the game.
Yeah. Oh, we got some coffee here.
Ooh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, Amelia Earhart circumnavigates the globe in a plane.
Yes, super important for the Second World War.
Yes, a very interesting. This is not historical, by the way, because sometimes she makes it, sometimes she dies, and I think she died IRL, right?
Oh, I actually don't know.
Yeah, I think so. She tried to circumnavigate the globe, but it didn't go very well. So perhaps a good sign for the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big sign for American aviation.
Indeed. Moving on to America. Let's see how they have annexed Mexico.
Oh yeah,
we have the United
we
Mexico
don't have a Mexico
here.
player.
We don't have a Mexico player, so that means that the United States can annex Mexico, and that gives them somewhat of a boon. Yeah. Also, it's interesting to see how that plays out in the espionage, because the Soviets need to assassinate Trotsky in order to
who usually hides in Mexico.
Yeah, so like if you have the American spies, can you just put counterintelligence in Mexico City and make it really hard to assassinate Trotsky?
Yeah,
But then again, they want to help the Soviets, right? Because they're in the Allies, so they would not do that.
Yeah, I don't actually know how that.
All right,
we do have a Mexico player. Oh, that is our mistake.
Indeed, we do. But they are so they are going to be a puppet of the United States then, and not completely annexed.
Oh yeah. Walton, completely new player. So like we said earlier, we have a fair amount of new players here. I have never played annexed, or maybe not annexed, but Puppet Mexico. So I'm not sure how it will be different playing Mexico under the wing of the US.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Welcome to the community, Morten, and good luck on Mexico. It is a nation that can punch above its weight. They have the manpower, like all of these Central American countries, and also the South American countries, like Brazil, for example, 1.4 million manpower. Not many miners can boast about that. We've seen some pretty heavy sub strategies from Brazil, where they just try to raid the seas, like to the point where no convoys are allowed to exist. I don't think we've seen that from Mexico, but we have seen
special forces strategies coming out of Mexico before.
And we are getting some comments here that Earhart hasn't been found, assumed dead. We have in Twitch chat here, and we have Dr. Paul William on YouTube saying her plane never reached an island stop in the Pacific. Probably she got lost in a storm. So rest in peace, Amelia Earhart. But in our game, she managed. So that's nice.
And that's why I shouldn't learn all my history from video games.
And we also have Skrotness here in Twitch chat saying, enjoy the coffee while it's available. Later in the war, we will have to replace it with the Swedish classic Barkpool.
Luckily, we don't have those kinds of restrictions on our trade here.
Barkpool, but that doesn't sound very nice.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, you're a military man. Have you tried it?
I have not tried that. I have boiled like just random leaves from the forest just to get water any kind of taste. Eaten like roots of like dandelion roots. You can pull them off, boil them, and just eat them. Taste like crap, but
survival expert here.
I would not say expert, but I am still alive, so there's that.
True. Let's see here what they did not go Marco Polo Bridge incident after the liaison conference. They are going down the combat militarism, rein in the young officers, and they're probably going to appoint Tojo. Maybe we'll see, but they have some debuffs at the start. Japan as well, not as bad as the United States, but they have some like inter-war rivalry between like the Navy and the Army, and they also have some uppity officers acting a fool, so they might want to handle that before going to war. Perhaps we should introduce the Manchukuo player. It's a very important player in the Pacific theater, puppet of Japan, and will play an important role in the Sino-Japanese war, and also later in the wars against the British Raj and cleaning up of France down here.
So playing Manchu is Ville, who's been a long time player. He has not played Manchu before, but their plan is to go big Manchu here. So he's going to have a fair amount of resources to make something work with. Which makes sense since we have some the players playing Japan are not the most experienced Japanese players, so it makes sense to give more resources to Manchu and split it that way instead.
And it's quite smart also, because then Japan can really focus on like the naval war against the United States and just let Manchu handle like the keeping China in check and reinforcing against the Russia and so on. I think also on paper Big Manchu is the stronger play. It's just a matter of how you want to handle it coordination wise and what you think is best for the specific game. But if you just blanket look at things, Manchu gets more cores, and it's better to, if you need to suppress rebellions and so on, it's better to use the Manchukuan manpower for that.
That is a very interesting idea with just this game, because you have so much going on. That the math will often like say like, oh, this is like the best play. This is what's going to get you the most manpower, the most breakthrough, the most soft attack, and so on. But everything is also divided by how much attention can you give something. So it is sometimes better to take a less optimal mathematical option if it means it's easier to manage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of things that are better on paper requires like some coordination. It depends on what players you have. So they are going big Manchu, and we'll see how that affects things. If we look at China here, we are going to we are playing AI China, and the thing is they have a mechanic where they release like waves of infantry. So once they reach a certain surrender limit, you get the mobilization of the first wave, and then second wave, and then third wave. So that's important for the Japanese player as well to coordinate, so you know when the first wave is coming, so you don't get surprised. And also you can plan, like make semi-encirclements. The first wave gets mobilized, you encircle them, and you can really play around with that a lot, because
there's a lot of refinement you can do. But it comes down to that you don't want to get bogged down and just stuck pushing like random territory. You want to be focus and grab specific victory points so that you can trigger these waves quickly.
Definitely. We have a comment from YouTube here from Jake. Hello, Hygge Gaming. I appreciate your tips very much. I can't stay along with the stream for long, but I appreciate your videos. So thank you very much, Jake. We enjoy doing them as well, and you'll be seeing a lot more in the future.
And thanks for just stopping by.
Yeah, that coffee was sorely needed.
Yeah.
All right, let's go down to the South Pacific maybe. We have Siam.
Oh yeah, this is also a new player, if I am correct. August, also playing his first game with us.
Yeah, welcome to the community.
Yes, welcome. Yeah, this is one of the traditional beginner countries. I have never played it actually, but there's not too much to do. Bangkok is the important tile here. You don't want to lose that. And it's absolutely going to be contested. So there's going to be fighting here for sure.
Yeah, we said it's a bit of a meme that remember to garrison Bangkok, but it's a meme with some truth in it, because we have restrictions on a lot of naval invasions in early wars. For example, in the Winter War, the Soviets cannot naval invade Finland during the Winter War. They have to do it in the Continuation War. But in the Pacific theater, the naval invasions will start as soon as the war breaks out. So if you have not garrisoned your ports, you need to keep Singapore and key ports in Malaya and so on. Otherwise, you will just get rolled in the beginning. And if you lose Bangkok to an early naval invasion, that can really unravel a lot of the front down there. So important for Siam.
Yeah, and this much in the same way that Northern Africa and the Mediterranean protects Europe, these islands and really the all the ports here, they protect the coast of India. Because the British Raj, this is an incredibly difficult area to push through, and they're going to be defending it heavily. So, the Axis really want to naval invade the main country. That's so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very tough. You see this big mountain ranges, and the Raj is also a nation of a lot of manpower, and they can just have infantry here, big meat walls in depth, and it's very, very hard to push through. But once you break through, if the Axis gets Singapore and the ports here and the Duchies in this falls, then it is not far. You can just island hop here and you can just open up the entire line here. And then these big troops here are at risk of encirclements as well, because you see it's wide here, but it's small here. So if you land in the river delta here around Calcutta, you can cut them off quite easily.
And if you have the wrong kind of troops, British Raj, it's a supply nightmare. So if they naval invade and you have to send troops down south quickly, they're not gonna get there fast, because it takes a while to go through British Raj.
Let's introduce our Raj player and then go over to the Sino-Japanese war.
Playing Raj, we have Haslebag, who has been with the community since 2017. He's a good player. He played Mongolia last time, so a big part of that resounding Eastern Front victory. He hasn't played Raj before, but he's played Manchu a lot of times. So again, those are the counter plays there. So he should be familiar with what's going to happen.
And we see here that the Sino-Japanese war has started, and we see that the Japanese are starting to do some pushes around Beijing here. Let's see if we can get info on the bubbles there. It's green along the entire front. They still haven't kicked off the naval invasion, so they probably want to wait with that a bit. So they push down a bit, because they are quite lonely here around Nanjing otherwise, and it's a big way to go. So if they manage to get Beijing and just down to this river maybe, and then kick off the naval invasion, so you easily can link up.
Yeah, it's probably a more effective use of infantry. But also, if you wait more, you get to do less naval invasions. So you get less experience for the generals, for that trait.
Yeah, and Beijing is falling, and we're seeing the first encirclements taking place here.
Yeah.
And let's see who they have as the naval guy here. It's this guy, and we have Marines, but not all of the Marines. They are doing naval invasions with regular infantry as well. Looking over at the divisions, these are stacked infantry divisions. This is about as good as it gets with pure infantry.
We're still early, so this is a very good template for this early. Now this is an excellent.
This is indeed stacked. Like this is a dangerous Marine division. If they manage to get if they have a lot of these and they get the naval invader trait and go deep into special forces, this will be very dangerous.
Yeah. The thing to note with building Marines with artillery is that artillery is slow. Marines often, depending on what you're invading, you sometimes want them to be fast. But yeah, packing them with artillery is almost always a good thing. And
we also have the doctrines here as well with the latest expansion pack. We have the Special Forces doctrine. And if you go down quite far into the Marine tree, I think, I wonder which one it is. Let's see here. It might be... here we have naval invasion capacity plus 10, extra Marine supply grace, 24 hours.
Amazing.
This is very, very good bonuses. And I think one of these even means that you can land without the harbor. So you can just land and disembark on regular tiles, and that can be very, very good for especially this longer Pacific islands like Indonesia and stuff.
And the supply grace is so good. If you've already starved the enemy of supply on the island, and you just jump in and you have supply grace for a couple of days while they're already low on supplies, you're going to crush them so hard.
Then again, this also gives the Navy more inter-service rivalry, so that can affect your army as well as Japan. But since they're going big Manchu, maybe Manchu can do the infantry stuff, and it doesn't really matter if they go Navy in the inter-service rivalry. Because as you see here, they have the inter-service rivalry mechanics, so now it's heavily dominated by the Navy, and that increases the cost of your land doctrine, and especially it really hampers your ability to produce military factories. So it can really cripple your infantry if the Navy is too dominant. But then again, it increases your dockyard and naval doctrine. So we're probably going to see a lot of focus on Japan countering the US, Manchu going British Raj. I would imagine. Let's see here. Working along the front. The first wave has not been mobilized yet, I think, but it might come out rather soon. We have no first wave mobilization yet from China. This is interesting though. We have a little Japanese have gotten a wee bit encircled here, but I think will they actually? No, they will be able to get that.
They must be,
It's just the Chinese AI, but a bit scary for them here. And even if China is AI controlled, if you get the first wave mobilization and you aren't ready for it, they could you can get sub encirclements here. We see here another two Japanese divisions getting encircled here. But,
is that where's that railway gun?
Is
that on?
This railway gun is retreating.
Because that would be actually so. It's not catastrophic, but it's a lot of production to lose this early against the AI. You don't want to lose your railway guns. They do take a while to build.
Oh, they got.
They did. Wait, did they lose it?
They got overrun.
No. Oh, that is.
Japanese railway gun lost to the Chinese. That's a blow. To Japan. That's sad for them, and a big boon for the Allies here after a disastrous Spanish Civil War. They are probably happy to see a Japanese railway gun getting taken out in the north of China.
So that is not supposed to happen.
That's an oversight on the Japanese players' part. But as I said, you get this little encirclement here, you get this little encirclement here. You have to break them out, and you just have so much to focus on. And
exactly.
You just get overrun because the Chinese, they are so many, and even if the AI controls them, they can swarm you. And
they're going to have to build a new one, which is going to take a lot of production.
We see the production here. They have not started on a new. They have started a new railway gun production here. But also, I mean, that's since they have gone so heavily into favoring the Navy in the inter-service rivalry, that also reduces the output of your military factories. So it takes longer to recover these losses.
Yeah, we saw they had like 5 factories on it, and they don't have that many factories, so it is a significant investment from Japan to make sure they have railway guns.
And I mean, this is not looking too good for them. Here, for example, they once again, I think they will be able to break it out. I mean, I don't think they will.
But they're spread very thin.
I mean, they need to stabilize this front. It might be that we have gotten this first wave mobilization. No, we have not. So we are looking at more Chinese troops even in a while. Yeah. And this little encirclement is also looking quite bad. Now they have broken that one out as well. So they will not lose that many troops here, but I mean, it's 16k to 270, so it's still going well for them, but it's a sad state for the poor railway gun getting lost in the woods of Suiyan.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try. And I lived in Japan for 2 years, but I can't pronounce these.
You can't pronounce the Chinese places. No. Well, we have an interview with Rosen is ready here. Let's see. Did you have your headset?
No, you'll have to do the interview.
Okay, I'll do the interview.
I'll listen in on Discord.
Let's see here. Hello?
You're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, hello. Do you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So let's see where I have to look up. You were playing. What country were you playing? Sorry.
I'm the Germany co-op.
Yeah, the Germany co-op. So welcome to the interview room. What do you think about the war so far? Are you satisfied with the Spanish Civil War?
Absolutely. We did a massive number on the French around Madrid. We could have had the Soviets, but Martin's slow as ever at micro, you know. Things happen.
Yeah, I saw you got 2 of the French volunteer divisions there, almost all 4 of them, right?
I believe so, yeah. I think they definitely lost a lot of equipment, so that's good enough for us.
Yeah, and the Soviets were in dire straits there for a while around Barcelona, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they ended up recalling once they hit the port as soon as they did, but they were completely on the back foot. I was really expecting a really tough Spain, and what we got was nearly textbook Axis victory on it. So
what do you think will happen now with France? What are your plans for the invasion of France?
Well, at the minute we're building assault gun medium tanks, and we're hoping to just kick in through Champagne and Picardy, just a normal standard blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
We're hoping with this, because we've been really quite slowing down the tension. It's spiked lately, but we're hoping to keep it below 30% for a bit longer, because we should...
Yeah, that's right. You've already done the Anschluss, but you haven't annexed the Sudetenland yet.
No, I don't think we're planning to yet either.
Yeah, that might be smart.
If we do so if we can let it tick down for another couple of months. I'm not sure Dan's entirely certain on that, but...
Yeah, so it's a standard historical invasion of France, like Benelux and through Paris.
Yeah, because I'm not expecting any surprises. Is the way I put it. But
so how do you feel about the Eastern Front later on? You are up against quite a good Soviet team.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough slog, but we're hoping what we can do is if we win big in North Africa and knock out the Allies, maybe we won't have to worry about it too much. We'll just be able to go put the full axes on it. So if we can keep the pressure up, we should be okay. That's the dream.
Yeah, looking forward to a high pressure Germany then on the Eastern Front. And thank you so much for the interview, and good luck in the game.
Enjoy. We'll see you in a bit.
Yeah. Bye. So, then we heard from our German co-op player, as you hear, they have big plans.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it plays out. But historical invasion of France and then aggressive Eastern Front.
Yeah.
Let's see if those plans survive contact with the enemy. And also a late Sudetenland, he said. They want to keep the world tension below 30%.
All right.
So they want to, and that's important because once it reaches 30%, then democratic countries can go war economy.
Yeah.
Because they need the democratic support. So if the world tension is too low, then the populations of the democratic countries don't want to do the war economy, and you can't then. So they are trying to wait with annexing the Sudetenland before or they're waiting until the world tension has gone down a bit in order to try and starve the Axis out of the wartime production. Seems like a standard Germany game, Jake says on YouTube here, and I would say it's quite a standard Germany game, at least historically speaking. Like in our earlier games, that would have been the standard Germany, but we have seen some innovative Germanys lately with doing strange things and trying out new stuff. We saw a naval invasion of the Middle East once by the Germans, and so it will be interesting to see.
Yeah, we are seeing in France we have tank divisions that are trained, and they have some light tanks mixed in with one battalion of heavy tanks, which is something I have not seen before.
Very interesting. So we have France actually producing 8 tank divisions here, indeed. And that's the Division Légère Mécanique. Let's check it out here.
So this is probably going to be a little bit of a surprise, and we see here they haven't set a location, so these troops are not on the map yet. They can't be seen by the Axis, even if they had spies. So this might be like Sticky's little bit of a like ace in the hole here to try and screw up for the German player.
Yeah, they want to keep this one a secret. Like this is interesting. Like one heavy tank battalion and one light tank, and you get a lot of armor from that, so it's hard to pierce. And as we saw before, the Germans have actually gone quite heavily into this Panzer division with assault guns. So they are focused on infantry. If these ones meets a French heavy tank in the field, they will not perform very well.
They do have, let's see here, they have 14.7 piercing, so they should be good against this tank division of Stickies.
Yeah, they might be actually. Let's see, 14.7, 8.6. So they will be able to pierce this armor anyway.
Yeah, so I don't think this will stop Germany, but it will absolutely come as a surprise.
Yeah, and it will stop their infantry. I mean, they might try for some counter-encirclements, like if the Germans push down deep, and then they deploy the tanks, make a counter-push, and they might be able to damage them.
Yeah.
Now we have a question from Paul William here. Do we have a US player? What is he up to? And indeed we have a US player.
We have several, in fact.
I think we have... no, we haven't presented them, so let's do that.
No.
Or maybe we have.
We have. But we can bring them up again. We have Ivan and Sjökrona playing the US. And neither of them have played the US before, I think. Maybe Sjökrona has played as a second seat before, but I don't think so. I don't have the statistics in front of me. But yeah, like the US will be, they'll be entering the war like basically last. They're the last country to really come alive and activate. They're building a shit ton of dockyards. This
is just all Navy. They are dockyards, Texas, Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland, Delaware. It's just all out dockyards here. And they are preparing. But this is also because the dockyards don't have the penalties. The United States is still in the Great Depression. Or they have gotten out of the Great Depression, but they're still in the slow recovery, so they do produce a lot less, and they are getting penalties to most of their factory production. So that's also a factor in this. But they are moving their way down to saving the economy. They have the Agricultural Adjustment Act here, where they are replacing the slow recovery with slow economic growth with farming subsidies, I would imagine. And then they can also do farm subsidies, which will increase government support for other things. and then Federal Housing Act and New Deal once more. And once they get down here, they are going to be out of the Great Depression, and they will be able to produce again.
We are seeing them produce just an ungodly amount of submarines at this point. Again, like they're kind of limited in what they can produce without penalties. So these are outdated submarines, but they're producing a lot of them.
Yeah, this is a lot of submarines, and I mean, even if they're outdated, if they are 3 times as many, right?
Yeah, and also. I'm not sure how exactly they're going to be using this, but it's completely possible that they're going to try to win a decisive naval victory and then use these submarines afterwards. Because if they're outdated and bad, that doesn't matter if they're only attacking convoys and the enemy has no fleet to counter them with.
We might be looking at a very historical game. They want their Battle of Midway, right?
Yeah.
And they sink the Japanese fleet. And once the Japanese fleet is sunk, then they can just go around.
Yeah. Or alternatively, you can split these into like a large amount of small task force and just spread them out, and then you will always know where the enemy fleet is, because your submarine fleets will keep engaging the enemy fleet. And
they are going to hold an election in 1940 here, but looking at the polls, it seems that Franklin Delano Roosevelt is going to get the second term here. Yeah, might even get a third term, if I remember things correctly. But
I don't remember when they introduced term limits in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it was after the Second World War. I'm not sure. But it's interesting also, United States, because you're a democratic nation and you also have the Electoral College, so you need support in Congress for different stuff. So that's another thing with the world tension, because if the world tension is low and you want to produce weapons, then you won't get support in Congress, and you can't do it, right? So interesting mechanic from the United States. Let's see. I think that the Japanese, I do believe that this is going slower than they want to at this point. But I do think we have probably gotten the first wave from China at this point. No, we have not gotten the first wave mobilized from China, so they are still...
What are their casualties at this point?
I think the casualties are probably... they are rather high, but
million,
I think it's the surrender limit that defines the waves.
So and you need to take cities, you need to take victory points. They might want to just naval invade soon to take Nanjing to trigger that first wave.
Yeah, I mean, a common tactic we've seen is that Japan naval invades and they take Nanjing, and that automatically mobilizes the first wave. And then the first wave gets put around here, the lines. You link up and you get this big encirclement with a lot of troops up here. So that might be what they're going for here.
Yeah.
Let's see how the Germans are doing. They said it seems like Czechoslovakia is a wee bit smaller than last time we looked. So we have seen an annexation of the Sudetenland, and that means that we have peace in our time. So the world tension has actually been kept below 30%. So the German plan of starving the allies of world tension or the Axis plan, have worked out well so far. They have kept the world tension below 30%, and we have, if we look at the UK, for example, we still have partial mobilization and so no war economies in the democratic countries yet. So good for Germany.
That is great for Germany. Continuing a little bit in the Pacific, we do see Australia producing a small amount of light tanks, which I find interesting.
Yeah, who is playing Australia, by the way?
So on Australia, we have, let's see here. This is Australia, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Pontus playing Australia, a 2-star general. He's really improving a lot, and he plays a lot of games. He's a regular, so to speak. He's played Australia once before. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy he goes for here. So Australia can both go special forces and tanks, kind of like New Zealand, like they're kind of protected. Not completely though. It's not impossible to see Australia naval invaded. But it seems like he's going to be going for tanks rather than special forces.
It seems like it, right? He's producing some light tank chassis here. He is also producing special forces equipment, but only with one factory here.
Yeah, yeah.
So that might be what he is going for. He has some divisions here, definitely an infantry division.
Yeah.
And Marine Infantry Division. This is a stacked Marine Division though, so we will see some.
Oh yeah, okay, that seems
Marines.
more like.
And now we see him queuing up his production here. It's
Okay.
Infantry Division and it is Marine, so the light tanks will probably wait for a while, but
Yeah,
I'm guessing he has some plan for them.
Yeah, that is interesting. I was going to say that if you go light tanks, like you are restricting how useful you are in the defense of Indonesia. You really like Marines. Really, they're made for island hopping and defending islands. So yeah, he's going to be helping the Netherlands and Holland and everything defend against Japan. But yeah, I'm super interested to see what he does with those light tanks later on. Maybe that's preparation for helping out in Europe.
Speaking of preparation, let's see how the front lines are forming around North Africa, because that's a theater we haven't really covered a lot now.
Yeah.
But it is very important, especially if you have the Suez Canal, and if the Suez Canal is blown up, which you have a decision to do. So if the Allies are saying like, oh, we're losing in North Africa, they can retreat, blow up the Suez Canal, so that the Axis doesn't get this.
Yeah.
But then again, then it's blown up, right? And that really hampers you, because you need, let's say that Italy gets Gibraltar, and the Raj is invaded, and you want to reinforce the Raj, then you're looking at this trip.
Yeah, it
where you
becomes
can
impossible.
be convoy raided by submarines and everything, and going around, and that's Raj, right? But if you have the Suez Canal, and if you control the Mediterranean, then you can, pretty much. Yeah, it's only here.
Yeah. It's that like layer of defense. You want access to the Mediterranean because you want to. If you're the Axis, you want to prevent naval invasions. If you're the Allies, you want to naval invade because you don't want. You don't. If you don't have to go through France, you want to rather invade Italy immediately.
We have seen some shenanigans, some games. We had one time where the Axis tried to control like the Hormuz Strait, because they lost here, but if they control the Hormuz Strait, then it's basically, it doesn't matter if you have the Suez Canal, right? Because it's you're stopped here. And well, not completely stopped, but you're going to get raided to oblivion.
And that game we did see Australia and New Zealand like put a lot of troops there, if I remember correctly, and help out South Africa. Because usually here in Northern Africa, we see South Africa and we see Canada. Usually take up that role, and South Africa here is they're making tanks. That is the usual thing for them to do. Their template is medium tanks at this point.
This is heavy. It's not heavy, but it's
stacked.
It's stacked. This is a good division.
I really like South Africa. It's a country that's pretty safe, so you can do kind of what you want. You're not a powerhouse, but you do have enough industry to go tanks and even go heavy tanks if you're okay with going some a bit fewer. On South Africa, we have Ericsson playing that. It's a 5-star general, been with us since 2017. Last game he was the Australia player that dominated.
That's right.
Had a huge impact. He's only played South Africa once before, but South Africa is a lot like Australia, I'd say. Like these countries like South Africa, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they play fairly similarly. He won 3 awards last game for his Australia performance. So that'll be interesting to see how he does here. Yeah,
3 awards, that's really big. He had very big impact as Australia.
Yeah.
And I mean, South Africa is also one of these a bit hit or miss countries, because you are going to produce like 3 or 4 divisions of heavy tanks.
Yeah.
And you can do a lot of work with those, but if they get encircled and die, then you're pretty much out of the game, or you can come back really late. We see that the Axis here, now they have annexed the rest of Czechoslovakia, but you can see here that the world tension has actually spiked above 30%, so they might have been a bit premature in invading Czechoslovakia, because now we are going to see allied nations.
Yeah, we should see war economy, right?
We have, not yet, but they will...
you need war support as well.
Oh yeah, you need war support as well, but they are going to start working up towards...
war support you can usually... it's easier to gain war support on your own because you can make decisions and so on to trigger more war support. So world tension is usually the gold standard, but they have to take this opportunity to increase their war support so that they can utilize the world tension, because it will drop again.
Yeah, they have some war support stuff they could go. They can take here as decisions, especially like the propaganda ministry here. They can probably do some war support stuff. I'm not exactly sure, but they should be able to do that. Also, that's just as you said, that's one thing that they actually control. Like the world tension is pretty much in the hands of the Axis at this point. Yeah. Looking over again to the Pacific, we see that the Japanese are quite stalled. To be honest, they would definitely have wanted this to be faster. Still no first wave from the Chinese, and still no naval invasions. If I was the Japanese player, I would probably kick this off right about now.
Yeah, I think so too.
So this doesn't drag on for too long. They are getting XP for the generals though, and looking at the casualties, they can continue on forever more or less, but you do want to mop up the Chinese at some point, especially if you're going big Manchu. You want to give it to Manchu so they can start building up the industry and start generating stuff of the Chinese. And also you have a lot of natural resources that you need in China as Japan in order to fuel your war industry. We'll see how that continues. Moving on. There is not that much happening in the world at the moment.
Take a look at Ireland.
That's true. We have an Irish player as well.
Yes, who once again, I think this is the first time him playing with us. We have Tanner, new player in our community. So welcome to you. Ireland is like Siam. It's like one of the standard starting nations.
It's a very good starting nation. You can get invaded, and so you need to garrison some stuff, but you actually have, like, in Ireland, it might not look like it, but it's only one port, right? So no one will probably invade you like here. But if you garrison Dublin, you're pretty much safe, and you also have the British to protect you. Historically, Ireland was not in the Allies here, but in our game, when we have this extra, these extra countries, we have divided them up
to make sure we can have more players, basically. I think the last couple of games we've even seen Ireland be capitulated twice in the same game. Again, with the current meta, with the Sea Lion being more of a risk and so on. In the early days of this community, Ireland was pretty much always safe, but not so much anymore.
Speaking of Sea Lion, we do see production of some marine divisions from Germany here. They're making one marine division, and it's quite a stacked one, so they might be interested in some. We also see...
Fallskärmsjäger.
Yeah, indeed. These are smaller, but for being a paratrooper division, this is also quite...
Are they producing transport planes?
Let's check it out. I would assume they do. If they are producing paradroppers, they are probably doing transport planes. Yes, they are. They have...
3 in the...
Let's check the logistics tab here and see how much. They have a deficit of 68 transport planes, it says here, but that is going to get produced at some point here.
And we have almost the exact same template coming out from the Soviets, who are also producing paratroopers, and they're also producing transport planes. So we're going to see
these two
major powers both going paratroopers.
This is going to be an interesting Eastern Front. We have identical paratrooper divisions from both the Soviets and the Germans.
Now,
so they are going to prepare some...
Yes. Now, I feel like you're right. Like, Germany might very well like use these paratroopers more against the UK and Ireland. But what are the Soviets going to be using them for?
Finland?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like we have the rules against naval invasions, but we don't have any rules against paradropping Finland, if I remember correctly. So yeah, maybe they.
I don't think you can use paratroopers in the Finnish Winter War, or I have not seen it at least.
We have never seen it, as far as I'm aware, at the very least. Maybe they want, like, in the conflict with Romania, last game we actually had Romania kick off that conflict with the Soviet Union, which we usually don't have, but something like that might be like used to just paradrop Bucharest. And
yeah, that's true. That could be a plan. We have seen a lot of cocky Romanian players the latest games.
Exactly.
When the Soviets demand Bessarabia, you can actually say no as the Romanians. Historically, you have not done so, but in the last games, we have seen some Romanians that have refused to give up Bessarabia to the Soviets and have somewhat of a Romanian winter war, so to speak.
Yeah. And it actually went well for them during that time.
Yeah.
And Romania, this game is being played by Eric, who's been with us since 2019, a very dependable player. He has never played Romania, so again, not a new player, but a new country for him, so a lot of first times for everyone here.
Indeed. He has some marine divisions here also.
Ooh, cool.
A lot of marine. This is interesting. Anti-tank.
Okay, yeah.
And stuff in the marine division.
Yeah.
So he is planning some marine stuff, no doubt.
I am kind of wondering if he is going to like try to. Would he try to just like paradrop or naval invade and then try to just hold the ports?
I mean,
like Sevastopol, or
he doesn't have much of a navy, but I mean, you can really surprise the Soviets as the Romanians. Like, for example, if you refuse to give up Bessarabia, the Soviets, they don't really focus that much on the navy game for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and it's an awkward time for the Soviets to have to counter you, because they've prepared all this time for the Finnish war, and now they want to prepare for Germany. They don't want to deal with Romania.
Looking at this, like, obviously the Soviet navy is much stronger than the Romanian navy, but the Soviet navy is in port at Sevastopol, and the Romanian navy is out patrolling the Black Sea. So right now, the navy of Romania has complete naval supremacy in the Black Sea, because even though there are just a few ships, the Soviet ones are in port. And if that war kicks off and the Soviets just forget their navy in Sevastopol, those Marines can just go to Crimea, and then you're in trouble, right?
Exactly.
So then again, once the Soviets send out their navy, then your Marines are stuck in Crimea. So it will be interesting to see how this pans out.
But that is usually, like, Crimea is one of the places where the Soviets can choose to hold, because it is difficult to invade from land. So if you had Marines already on there holding it, that would actually be very annoying for the Soviets.
Yeah, nothing new on the Chinese front. Still no first wave, I think, and first wave mobilized now. So some progress for the Empire of Japan, but slower than they have expected, I think, and also still no naval invasions. This is, this naval guy, no progress towards the naval invader trait as of now, and I don't think he will be able to get it before the island hopping if they don't kick this off rather soon.
Yeah.
So we will see. Now we have some writings in chat here from CV82. Yet again, time for Hygge Gaming. Indeed, it is me and Olof, and also Petter in the technician's chair. We'll be casting this grand game for you from now until like 10 o'clock this evening. We're looking forward to an exciting game.
Yeah. And how is the mascot doing?
The mascot is doing fine. Do we have the cat cam? We see the London Naval Treaty has ended, kicking up the world tension a wee bit, but like more importantly, not restricting the navies anymore.
And I think this is going to be an interesting navy game. we'll see how everyone approaches it. Let's see here. We have
now they are
contact.
kicking off the naval invasions now, so let's see how that pans out. If they have synced it up, if they're able to link up, this is going to be like the big one for the Japanese in order to get the Chinese war really squared off here. And we see the Marine divisions here. They are going to land all across the board, I think. This is not very heavily reinforced. It's just 2 poor militia divisions in the harbors here. So.
Trotsky has already been assassinated.
Yeah, Trotsky has been assassinated. Missed that, but.
Well. Alright, so they have officially landed. It's really a race for how fast can they take Nanjing here, and how fast can they trigger the second wave.
And now they got 5% on the invader trait there.
Yeah,
so
nice.
like they would like to do some hopping. Like we have seen some tactics before where you plan like a naval invasion here.
Qingdao, and then just hop down.
Yeah, and that's like really short from like Seoul and like this harbor, and you just naval invade, retreat, naval invade, retreat, and you get the trait. So a bit cheesy, but that is allowed. But this time they have not done that. They're going for the full naval invasion of Shanghai.
Yeah.
And I'm looking over a bit in Europe. Nothing much happening. I was interested in seeing how the navy of the Germans is panning out.
Yes.
They are building heavy ships, not submarine. Germany here. They are going for the heavy ships, so that's interesting.
If I recall, they were gonna go for the fleet in being strategy here, just to try to be annoying for the UK.
Yeah.
But we do sometimes see Germany just not even build any navy. So this is already more than we sometimes see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's especially will be interesting to see El Alamein, because El Alamein, the latest games, have not gone as it usually does. Like historically, both in real life and in our games, El Alamein has been you just have a slog along El Alamein more or less. Eventually, Operation Barbarossa kicks off and the Axis retreats, or the Allied lines breaks and the Axis take it. But that's what has happened. But we have seen the latest games like naval invasions from the Axis towards like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, moving on. We have even seen Axis troops stuck in Iraq and getting surrounded in Syria and stuff like that. So
last game we had the bait trap from the Allies, where they actually gave up El Alamein, and they were hoping that the Axis would push down towards Ethiopia, and then Allied tanks were going to push through Tel Aviv, through Israel, and just come into Egypt, go down and surround the tanks pushing towards Ethiopia. But they got stuck in the desert outside of Tel Aviv, and they couldn't make it to close off the Axis tanks, and it turned into a long slugfest that didn't really work as planned. Yeah,
and we saw another time when a game, I don't know if that was the deciding factor of the game, but Jacob was going to attack the Soviets like through here when the Axis had won, and it just took so long, and he got stuck with small resistance pockets of British soldiers around like Baghdad and Mosul, and the troops never really made it towards the Soviet Union. And
these areas are notoriously like bad for supply and moving troops, and we have seen Italy actually build extra railroads here in northern Africa, and they're still doing it actually.
Yeah.
So they're investing in having some more troop mobility. We can surmise that they're not going to give up North Africa at the very least. They're going to try to push El Alamein.
Yeah, they are building the railroads from Tobruk. They are also building raiders on Sicilia. So they are going to try to keep North Africa, I think.
Yeah.
And looking at things like, if you see the supply here is dreadful. It's just a little single railroad, and it just stops here. So
Yeah, and we have a pause right now because the main controller of Germany has crashed. So
very sad.
Yeah, we're going to have to get him back in the game, get him to rejoin. If not, possibly we're going to rehost if we need to do that, but hopefully it won't come to that.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's see here. We have the Japanese have landed now and they have expanded their foothold here, but it will be a bit of a challenge to link this up. It's still quite far. And I do think we will have they will have some trouble. It hasn't been a fast war for the Japanese. We're trying to get an interview with Finland, and we're going to talk a bit about the Finnish Winter War. So we're going to interview him if we can, and then we are going to have a little vote on who you think will win the Winter War. He doesn't have a camera, but we're going to do the interview anyway. So I'm just going to connect here. He's not here yet. So
it seems we have one more player crash. So we might have to go to an earlier save.
Yeah, we'll see how it pans out. But we have had the world tension is steadily quite above the 30% limit here. See if I can tag into some countries here while we wait. I probably can't. But yeah. All right, now we're doing some Finnish interview. Oh, there we are. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, nice. Welcome to the interview room, and also welcome to the community. It's your first time playing with us, if I'm informed correctly.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's my first time here.
Yeah, interesting. How do you think you will fare in the Winter War here?
I'm a bit scared. I haven't played against a human player. I have tried Finland sometimes against the computer, but I'm a bit scared because I think they might have some tanks that I'm not prepared for. So we'll see.
Yeah, it is indeed a dangerous Soviet you're up against. But you have this Arms Against Tyranny focus tree. Have you played around a bit with that, like the CISU and the defense focuses?
I have played the normal focus tree yet, but I have tried down all the modifiers for the Winter War that are pretty strong.
Yeah, and how do you think, like, no matter how it goes in the Winter War, you are going to play a big part in the continuation war later on? Do you have any plans for dealing with the Soviets in the long run?
I do what the others tell me to do, what Germany says.
That seems good.
He's the boss.
Yeah, you have seen some success in the Spanish Civil War, the Axis. You managed to, or the Germans managed to kill off some volunteer divisions from France, and you performed well there. So that might be a side of things to come.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't partake in any of that success, but yeah, it was a nice civil war.
Yeah. Well then, good luck to you, and we're looking forward to the Winter War and seeing how you perform.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome again to the community.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Oh yeah, that was the Finnish player, and it will be interesting to see how this Winter War goes. Perhaps we should do that Menti vote now on who you guys think will win the Winter War.
Yeah.
So just go into menti.com, write in the code here on the screen, and vote on who you think is going to prevail in the Winter War. I didn't hear too much confidence, to be honest. It was his first time playing against a human player. against Jacob and Gus, and I think it might be a tough one personally, but we'll see what the audience says, and we'll see what the game says.
Yeah, it's a very different thing playing against AI and playing against a human. It's completely different, and playing against a very strong Soviet.
Yeah, we have some chats here. Perkele made the Sisu guide him, and indeed we hope that the Sisu will guide him. I think if I look at his production, he has managed to fill out all the lines. I'm not too happy with this, because if I was Finland, I would not defend here. I would do this. Maybe Oulu as well, because I think it's a supply hub here. So if I was Finland, I would put some guys here and along the river, and I would just give up the north. Like this one, you might want to have, but very bad supply. So if I was him, I would probably do here, here, or maybe even here and here, and then here, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
this line.
Because supply-wise, usually we have seen the Soviets build up the railways up north, but they have not done it this game. So maybe they're just going to push from Leningrad and not actually try to go north at all.
We have Seve here saying he's located in Oulu right now, which is in Swedish Uleåborg. I don't know. Yeah, there, right.
Yeah.
So you're in the supply hub then. Very nice. Defend it.
Yeah.
Do we have a result, by the way? Can we see the poll here and see who you guys think will win the Winter War?
I know my answer, but we'll see if the audience agrees.
Yeah. Let's see. The result will be coming up on our screen here in any second now, and we'll see what you guys think. Let's see a bit how he's doing on his high trust. We have the Soviet Union, and we have it's quite heavily towards the Soviet Union, and as have to say that is not unwarranted. I do quite heavily favor the Soviet Union in this matchup as well.
I think
Let's see. I'm going to refresh the Twitch here because we have some delays here on our little extra computer here.
I do know from sneaking on the Axis Discord that they are aware that the US they're going heavy into submarines at this point. So it'll be interesting to see if they switch anything up to counter the US submarine build.
Let's see. How do I get the chat? Let's see.
Okay, go with that. All right.
Let's see here.
So we are playing once again. We are no longer paused. Everyone's back.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the chat working here again. Let's see.
I don't think we're seeing too
back.
much different.
Hello, cat.
In so far, not seeing any difference in the production of Germany's fleet at any rate. But I'm guessing it's more going to be Japan actually who has to maybe throw their plans around a little bit to deal with a United States that's going so heavy into submarines.
Yeah, we will see how that pans out. Once again, the Japanese have not really managed to break the Chinese here. It is quite a historical Sino-Japanese war so far. Perhaps not the naval invasion of Shanghai, but it is going slower than usual. So I think the Japanese player is not particularly happy with this. Still, though, no casualties to speak of for the Japanese, and they do have the time. So, it does not spell doom for them in any way. But between the loss of the railway gun and not mobilizing the second wave yet, I think we have. The second wave is mobilized.
Okay, that's actually very good for them, because I think the last game we saw that drag out for way too long. Yeah, they have switched to early cruiser hulls as well, so they're building both cruisers and destroyers here, which are going to help against submarines a lot. So
yeah, they have a super heavy battleship built as well, and yeah, I mean this is a bit of a submarine counter, and they have read the United States player quite well, I would say, because I do think that they are just churning out those submarines. If we look at the American Navy here, we have submarines, 50 more submarines, some more submarines, and some more submarines. And
it is.
Here we have like the flagship and some heavy ships, and a scouting force of some cruisers.
I think that is actually the most submarines I've ever actually seen.
And some destroyers as well, but this is an insanely submarine-focused America. No aircraft carriers here, so far at least. Definitely an interesting play, and one that Japan seems to have read. Maybe they are doing good on the spy game. We haven't really looked at spies here.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're going to see that they have some amount of spies in it. Now, it doesn't have to be Japan. It can be any allied player or any Axis player, that have spies in the US. And they can obviously share that information. It's probably not going to be Germany. They have a bunch of other stuff they want to look at. But someone should have. I mean, they have one spy there, but is that enough?
Yeah, now the United States are doing 2 spies of counterintelligence in the US, and we have one Japanese spy there. I'm just going to move the cats.
They're
hello, you can't.
Going to
turn over the thing. Hello, come here.
The mascot is going to turn down the TV.
Yeah, the mascot is going around here.
Yeah.
The mascot has high movement speed. She escaped, but
okay, wait here. Spain actually has some spies in.
Yeah, let's see here. Nationalist Spain. They are spying. Yeah, they are indeed spying on the United States.
Yeah.
87 Intel network in the United States.
Yeah.
I think we are. Might be starting to see where the information about the submarines is coming from. It is indeed the Spanish player that has this very, very successful spy with the cool mustache. 87% Intel network.
Yeah, they're going behind that. They're also spying in the Soviet Union. So they're going heavily into the spy network.
Yeah, we have 57% Intel network in the Soviet Union from the Spanish player. So the Spanish are really being spy masters here for the Axis. Looking at the Germans, for example, they have gone to Stalingrad, and they have also paused. They have a lot of Intel network.
Yeah, and spy agencies they're not new, but they're one of the newer systems in HOI4. So if you haven't played with them before, they're actually pretty important. Not only because you get to get information about what the other players are building and stuff like that, but you can crack codes which give you bonuses to attack and so on. Yeah. And if you have established spy networks in different countries, you can negate some of their what do you call it, fortifications. So properly use of spies is very important.
Yeah. And we can see here that the Abwehr, which is the German intelligence agency, is cracking the cipher of the Third French Republic. So that will be done at the outbreak of the war, which means that they will be able to more easily push through France. And they are also going to do collaboration governments probably on the Soviet Union, because the collaboration governments is that you install like a collaboration government in the country that you invade, and then their surrender limit decreases.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the Soviet Union, that's really important, because if you do not have the collaboration governments, then they just won't surrender, right?
And you just have to push like so much territory.
You can take like Moscow and Stalingrad, but they still don't surrender. So you pretty much have to move like all the way like deep into Siberia and down here and stuff like that in order to capitulate.
And Germany does not want to do that, because Germany wants to capitulate the Soviet Union fast and then get back to France and Italy to protect Europe from the invasion of the US and the UK.
Yeah, so we'll see how they manage with the collaboration government. We saw a game where we had one collaboration government too little from the Germans, which meant that the war in the Soviet Union dragged out very long. I remember I had Finnish troops going around around here before the Soviets capitulated.
Yeah. And you can actually, because just there's so much territory, we've had games where they actually did capitulate, but in the post-war deal for territory, they forgot to claim some of the territory and accidentally respawned the Soviet Union, so they had to defeat them again.
Yeah. We see that the Japanese are planning a second naval invasion here of Qingdao, and they are going to try to link this up, and they also have 3 divisions going across here.
Yeah.
Let's see how they're doing on the invader trade. Still only 5%, and the front is quite frozen, so nothing too much happening here. And now we're already in 1939, so it's not that far off until we're going to see the outbreak of the real war, so to speak.
Yeah. So they have to ramp that up, which they probably are going to do. We're probably going to see a lot of naval invasions and just continuous pressure from Japan with Marines.
And also, once again, I would like to promote our DLC competition a bit, because we are going to do a raffle during the lunch break here, where one of you guys that join us on Patreon today, either as a free Patreon or a paid Patreon, will win a free DLC of your choosing. So just do that, and you will be in the running towards getting a free DLC.
Yeah.
We
see Germany building out a ton of synthetic rubber, so we can
Yeah, they are prepared. They do not want to have the rubber deficit that you often end up with as the axis.
Yeah, usually you can trade your way to get that rubber, but you're then very much dependent on your trade routes not being plundered at all. So if you're building a lot of motorized, a lot of mechanized, you're going to need a whole lot of rubber. So we can expect Germany to go just even more into tanks with this build.
Let's see how Main is building up here. We have 2 South African tank divisions and some regular infantry divisions.
Yeah.
Quite stacked, but just infantry divisions from the United Kingdom. On the Axis side, we see that the Italians are lining up also infantry divisions along the front.
Even some cavalry division.
Yeah, there is a little horsey here.
I wonder if is that something they have improved, or is that just left here from the beginning?
Yeah, I think this is one of the old Ethiopian ones, right?
Yeah, he's not gonna have a good time. This war.
Definitely not. He has not seen combat even.
No.
So he wasn't even in Ethiopia. So. And we have some of these Italians have probably seen combat in Ethiopia.
Yeah. We should be seeing Marines being produced by Italy at some point here, just because that is that is really the go-to at this point.
Looking here, we have some production of anti-tank as well from Italy.
Yeah.
Only one factory, but he has stacked up 5 more, so he is looking into producing anti-tank, and I would guess that he is also including it not in the regular infantry division here.
Yeah.
Not in the Alpine divisions. Let's see. Maybe the Marines have some, no?
No, well, the elite Marines.
Yeah, he is probably going to design his divisions around that later.
Yeah.
But he is producing some anti-tank, which you will need if you're going to break through, these South African medium tanks, for example. You're going to need some anti-tank to beat that.
Yeah. In pretty much, Africa will always come down to tanks. At least I've never been in a game where tanks were not part of North Africa.
Yeah, that's true.
So anti-tank is always going to be needed.
Yeah. Also, if you have any wishes on who you want us to interview next, please write in the chat, and we'll see if we can get those in, because we are trying to get interviews lined up so we can fill the gaps with interviews. So if there is any player that you would like to hear from, just let us know and we'll try to make it happen. Let's check out like how does, for example, like Greece.
What are they doing
here? They are recruiting a lot, 20 Spartans.
Okay.
Pack arty, infantry. This is going to be quite.
A fair amount, 5 support companies. So these are smallish, combat width of 20. But they're not going to be pushovers.
Yeah. Also anti-air and also military police.
Yeah. Usually you add military police just because they have a lot, like you get a lot of organization. It seems.
I think it gets some defense, right? Like
it gets a lot of defense.
And some recovery rate as well for the infantry. So, I mean, Mako is an experienced player, so he's probably thought this through because, as you see here, these ones light up. That means that they are affected by the battalion modifier of the support company, and this is going to give them a lot of recovery rate. And of course, as Greece, you are lacking manpower, and we have Michael asking, as a Canadian, what's Badger up to over there? We haven't actually checked out Canada, so we can do that, and we'll try to get him in for an interview sooner rather than later. But indeed, Badger is playing Canada, and he is a powerhouse.
Yeah, part of the Central Committee, founding member. He is one of the preppers, one of the ones who they do an insane amount of prep, an insane amount of analysis about the game, we've seen him play nations like the UK and the US and play them like single-handedly by himself. This is going to be very different. He's not going to have the same amount of things to do here, but that might also mean that he takes a more firm hand in the control of the allies.
Yeah, he can really be like a good strategic player there. He's an 8-star general. He has been with us since the beginning. He's the general secretary of the community, so he really has a good grasp of both the community and the game, and that might help because when he has his little tank divisions, he can just focus on making sure that everyone does what they're supposed to in the allies. But these ones are self-propelled artillery, light tanks, motorized.
He should have a ton of soft attack.
This is going fast. 194 and quite high speed.
We're going to see that increase even more as he upgrades like the weaponry here. And 12 kilometers per hour is actually fast for these divisions. Yeah.
So I mean, he is going some tanks here. Construction. It is. It's tanks that he is building. And some small anti-air, one on trains, but pretty much one factory on everything, and then just everything into tanks. So we have Badger is ready for an interview, so I'll get on to that. There.
Hello, guys.
Hello. Welcome to the interview room.
Thank you. My camera's coming on in a second.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing your beautiful face, Badger.
Thank you so much. Let's see if I can make it work. There we go. Hello, guys.
There. Hello. So, what do you think of the Allied performance so far? We saw you had a bit of a problem in the Spanish Civil War.
Well, to be honest, I haven't really followed it that closely. But from what I've heard, the French got pretty much overrun, and the Soviets managed to withdraw. So quite basic stuff, I suppose. But to be honest, they were in a separate chat room, so I didn't follow it that closely.
So what do you think about your chances here? What are your plans for the Canadian war effort?
Well, I'm going for a light SPG build. I figured this one out together with Jacob yesterday when I was driving a car for 6 hours, so I haven't tried it, to be honest. So I'm doing a test run live, so to speak.
Interesting.
So Yeah, so I'm a little bit worried about my timing when I get my the proper equipment in field. But it looks okay. I might have 3 divisions ready by the war.
What made you go for this tactic? It's quite a new one.
Yeah, no, it's soft attack oriented. So I wanted to have something really cheap that could just melt away Italian infantry and Japanese infantry. And then if I would face a lot of hard attack, I could then just swap over to light tank later on the 42 attack, and I could get a lot of hard attack. So it's a good platform to start from, so to speak.
Yeah, interesting. I see here you're preparing a bit in El Alamein. Are you going to do a classic hold or no traps and secret plans this time?
The idea is actually to assault head on very aggressively.
Okay.
So so we hope that we will surprise the Axis, and it's Algot who's our head of command, of course, and we're not able to reason with him. He has forced all his Commonwealth miners for an all-out assault early.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
Interesting to see. The Allies are trying to take the initiative here. I hear.
Yeah. So a crazy launch on towards Benghazi.
Yeah. So, do you have any plans for the Pacific theater, or is it North Africa?
That's North Africa. Pacific is secondary right now, but I think that if we succeed in North Africa, we will then turn all our eyes east and probably focus on Japan for quite some time. So if it goes well, I think we will try to move as much as we can over to Asia.
Yeah, interesting. It's fun to hear of your innovative plans here. We're going to move on into the game, but thank you so much for the interview and good luck in the game. Looking forward to see how those self-propelled artillery guns are performing in the field.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you.
Yeah, an interesting Canadian strategy here. We are seeing a live test run here of the self-propelled artillery.
Yeah.
But it was exactly like you said. He is going for the soft attack.
Yeah.
And they have gotten orders from Algot in the Central Allied Command here to go for an all-out assault on North Africa. So we are going to see the Allies actually trying to take the initiative in El Alamein from the start, and that's a new one.
Yeah, very much so. That is if we go to the templates of his divisions here again.
Yeah.
See here. The final speed of them right now is only 3.3 kilometers per hour. So we're expecting that to go up quite a bit when they have all the proper equipment.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Everything.
That's why he is doing the self-propel, fast and hard.
Yeah. The South African divisions, on the contrary, are only 2.0 kilometers per hour. So if they push at the same time, there's a real danger of the South African tanks being left behind. They'll have to be careful with that, but it's not such a wide space. So if they're just a little bit careful, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Now I see that things have happened in the Pacific theater here. We have the Sino-Japanese war dragging on, but we have a Japanese landing in Qingdao, and we see that the fronts are expanding a bit. We might even have seen the third wave. No, it's still only the second wave, so we are looking at some more Chinese.
Yeah, are they going to be planning more naval invasions? Because they should have gone up now from 5% to, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15.
Yeah, we'll see here. He has 9%, so he probably would want more, but now, I mean, there isn't that much left to invade. They could go down here, but the thing with Japan is once you invade, then you're just there, right? So in order to get that invader trait, you really need to plan out. So you do invasion, retreat, invasion from the start. At this point, I don't think they'll get it before the war.
No.
But this is looking out to be a encirclement up here of some Chinese troops, and I think once these two link up, then the third wave will spawn, and at some point that will be it for the Chinese.
And that's when Manchukuo will really get to start building their new empire, so to speak.
And we have, of course, total domination of the air. I wonder what Manchukuo is up to.
Yeah.
They're not at the front line with their troops. They're probably just building out. They have they are building mountaineer divisions and this
Garrison
template.
or
15
combat
combat
okay.
with. Interesting choice from the Manchukuo player here. Might be some thought behind that, or might expand it later.
Yeah, exactly. Usually you just you build as much as you can of a template, and then you will add equipment later on.
We have a question here. Look at the air count of Germany versus UK, please. Let's do that. That's a good idea. Let's check it out here. Let's see. Where is it? Air count. Air. Oh,
Yeah.
So we're seeing some scout planes down here, 300 CAS, 200 fighters, 400 fighters here, 100, 600. So there is 1,200 planes on close air support, 700 on air superiority over Poland. Meanwhile, in England,
we have about we should have 700 fighters around there, 300 close air support.
So the total air count here is 300 CAS, 900 fighters, 200 naval bombers, and 100 tactical bombers. And looking over at the same summary on Germany, they have 900 tactical bombers, 700 fighters, 300 CAS, 53 heavy fighters, and 53 transport planes. So 21 air wings total. I think.
How is the production of fighters for Germany?
Let's check it out. I didn't really count them now, but in air wings and in total numbers, I would say that the Germans are ahead. We can see that the production of the...
right now you're looking at the UK's.
Yeah. So the UK are producing Spitfires.
1.5 a day.
Yeah,
pretty decent rate.
42 factories and some 5 and 1 on the other ones. And let's check out the Germans as well here. They have 34 factories, so slightly fewer factories and fighters, slightly more on CAS, and much more on tactical bombers. So both in regards to factories and the total numbers, the Germans are ahead in the air game, I would say, even though they are significantly more focused on close air support.
But Germany does have to split their air a lot more than the UK does.
This is an interesting one. You can see here that we have paradrops of Corsica planned from Germany. I wonder why. It might be to get some traits.
Yeah, is this just for experience because they want to use them for something else later? This, as far as I'm aware, is not strategically important.
We are seeing Petter is actually writing to us in the internal chat there that you can reach North Africa from Corsica.
Okay.
So they might be going Corsica first, so they can get the airbase before they start off in El Alamein.
Yeah.
It says here also they can directly occupy North Africa and not give it to Vichy. So we might see some new stuff going on here, and that might actually put a wrench in the plans for the intensive initiative push of the Allies in El Alamein, because they are going full out pushing and guns blazing towards the North African coast. But if they meet up with German air over Tripoli, it might be trouble.
Absolutely. And usually, this is shaping up to be one hell of a North Africa game.
Yeah, this is looking really interesting. We have a question in the chat. When do you plan for pauses? I smell the lunch from the kitchen here, and also we are in 1939, so it should be any time now. We usually wait until the war kicks off, which it will rather soon. If we look at the German focuses here, they are expanding the synthetic oil refineries and some other industry stuff. But the Danziger war is ready, so once they want.
And we have the third wave mobilized from China here.
Yeah, we have indeed, and that means that once this is linked up, then no more Chinese troops, and there are no harbors in this area either. So
yeah. They close that gap. They eliminate the troops in between, and that should take them all the way to victory over China, and they'll capitulate.
And we see also world tension is once again below 30%. So looking at United Kingdom, they actually never went war economy.
I'm
so
wondering if there's something in the rules regarding when they can go war economy.
I don't think so. I think they missed it because they didn't get the war support, because they just have 56% war support and they need 55. So once the war support went over, then the world tension went lower, and now we have allies without war economy. I think France also no war economy. The Netherlands, maybe Poland managed. Nope. They will get war economy soon enough, though.
Italy has. Italy is still producing. They're reinforcing their own home country now with more railways. So, looking to not have supply problems as Italy.
We are now looking at the cleanup of the Chinese forces here. I think we will see a link up any day now between the naval invasion salient here around Shanghai and Nanjing with the Japanese main force from Manchukuo, and the Chinese have moved their capital to Chongqing now, so it's a bit of a march there, but there is no defense in depth anymore. If you look at the Chinese now, for example, you see, I mean defense in depth, but a disorganized defense in depth, no battle lines drawn or anything, and just one or so troops here. If I was Japan, I would probably try to do some small pushes here in order to just broaden the front. But see here we have here in the chat, what democracies and non-aligned could never get war eco without being at war? Oh right, that's probably it. That's why they don't have war eco. Even though
I feel like it's something like that, because they if it was just due to war support, they could have pushed that up.
Let's see here. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for that information. Yeah, that's true. It's either you need to be fascist, communist, or at war. Yeah. Or any enemy country has. You need that one as well. So it's a ways up to war economy then. That explains it.
We are seeing that Italy has produced one railway gun, and I'm actually specifically interested in that one because there was discussion in the chat leading up to this game about placing a railway gun in Africa, actually, and the bonus would reach Gibraltar. So probably going to see them do that and try to push through Gibraltar, which would be very annoying for the Allies.
Yeah, definitely. But that if we are going volunteer only Spain, can you even place a railway gun in Ceuta?
No, I think you need to make sure the tiles, like the tile 3 tiles down, it should be able to reach from there. If I remember the chats correctly, but we'll see what they do with here, because that should end up with Vichy France later.
Yeah, once again in the chat here, it's Germany and Soviets that need to be checked if they missed the 30% window. So let's check that, but I don't think they have. We have war economy Germany.
The Soviets
and,
do
war
have.
Economy Soviets. So no misses there. And if one of those missed it, then it would be hard for them.
Yes, especially for the Soviets. But we can see their economy is very much going well. They're producing their insane amount of factories.
Yeah, we see here that Japan has linked up the fronts and now just has one broad front in China, and looking over at the casualties, still not over 100k yet for the Japanese, but the Chinese have lost a lot. So the Chinese war is moving in Japan's direction, but it is a bit slower than we would normally expect. And I'm going to look over at Germany now, because I think we're going to see Danzig war focus rather soon. We say they have not picked the focus yet here, but they are stacking up the political power. What is the Navy looking like for Italy versus UK? That's a very good question, actually. Let's check that one out. We see a total count of like 84 destroyers, 52 subs, 25 light cruisers, 8 heavy cruisers, and 6 battleships from the Italian Navy. Meanwhile, we have significantly larger UK fleet, as is expected, but 44 submarines, 142 destroyers, 42 light cruisers, 16 heavy cruisers, 24 battleships, 3 battle cruisers, and 6 carriers. So that is a very large navy in comparison. And also looking at the production queues, we can see that we have 10, 10, 15, 5, 5, like 70 dockyards, mostly producing heavy ships, destroyers, and some outdated cruisers from the UK.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Italy, we have 43 dockyards that is pretty much only producing heavy ships, though. So we will see an edge in heavy ships from the Italians, but that's about it. I would say that the Britannia rules the waves so far.
Pretty much. We do see that the US have switched away from submarines at this point, and they're building a whole lot of cruisers. Actually, no, I take that back. They're building destroyers up here, and then just a whole, like, an insane amount of convoys.
Yeah, we have cruisers and convoys coming out from the United States. 115 dockyards on convoys. So
and they just removed them. So where are they going to place all those dockyards?
Yeah, that will be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, they just kicked up their cruiser production, so they have a whole lot of cruisers in production right now.
And they have, I mean, looking at the American Navy, it is 463 subs, so that's a lot of subs, so that's probably wise.
And we have war.
The war has indeed broken out. Poland has refused the German ultimatum, as often happens every time in our games. And that means that we have a war, and that means that we will pause and we will go for lunch. I would like to remind you all to join us on Patreon. You can become a free Patreon, or you can become a paid Patreon, and you will be in the draw to win a free DLC of your choosing after our lunch break. We will be back at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
1400 hours.
Yes, exactly. See, you got it.
And we will see you then. So from all of us here, the stream cat, me, Olof, and Petter in the technician's bench, thank you for watching us so far, and we will be back to be casting this great game of Hygge HOI with you after the lunch.
See you.